And play bigger with favorite characters from SpongeBob Download. Green, there are over 36.
Yo, let's do it, man. In here. In here. They were just playing out that little baby. Shout out my label, that's me. I'm in this with TB. I'm in this with Fo Trey. I just pulled up me and 8. Real all in my face. 500 racks in my safe. 500 racks to the plug. What you know about showing love? What you know about pulling up in Bentley truck? Make these falling in love. Can I get a year? Good evening. Good evening. You're from the Philippines. I'd be surprised if they got more than a bag of chips and a flat can of Sprite. What are we talking about? Ain't no one care about the Nets post game?
$5 Biggie Bag with a Junior Bacon Cheeseburger, 4-piece nugs, Junior Hot and Crispy Fries, and small soft drink is available all the time. Because the best time for fresh, never frozen beef and applewood smoked bacon is all the time. Duh. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot. For the best deal of all time, gotta be Wendy's. U.S. price statistics, Nigeria price may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, California, via third-party delivery. Dressings available in with U.S. Alaska and a great lawn is like a great sports team. It takes expertise and a little extra care to really stand out. That's where True Green comes in. They are the official lawn care treatment provider of the PGA Tour. So they know what they can do.
We're going to talk about the New York Knicks. What up? Cam to Am. You already know. Appreciate y'all. I'm sure it's gonna be better than I don't care. I never cared. I've never cared.
1019 FM and always live on the free Odyssey. It's KM to AM on WFAN.
Yeah, let's get it, New York City. How you feeling tonight? Shout out to Capper and Carino and Frank DeGrace and the Brooklyn Nets. What happened to the Nets tonight? See, that's the thing about the Nets, man. I mean, one night they ball on the Pelicans. Next night they get balled on by the Atlanta Hawks. Can't beat those Southern Birds, but they beat the other Southern Birds. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. I had a hater tell me, stop acting like WFAN is your Yankees and Nets podcast. I'm like, you don't listen to my show. I never talk about the Nets. I can't. And that's all that I'm going to talk about the Nets tonight. We're going to talk about the New York Knicks. Dial 888-808-1019. Hit the line one time. Tell me what's on your mind, Knicks fans. Last time I was talking about the New York Knicks coming off the Celtics loss, I said, is this glass half empty or glass half full? There was a lot of moral victories. I don't know why. There was a lot of people talking about, oh, yeah, they hung with them. They competed with them. Yeah, they hung tough. This is good. This is good. This is foreshadowing. No, it's not. No, it's not. Now, tonight was an actual potential playoff preview, but the Knicks did not bring the full squad. And they could have clinched tonight, but they chose to rest some guys tonight, which I understand. The Yankees were just in Detroit. Like, nobody wants to go to the D. Nobody wants to be in Michigan right now. I don't even know. Did OG and Josh Hart and Mitchell Robinson go with the team? I don't think so. It was the first half of a back-to-back. I think they stayed put. Like, no, we're good. We're not going to Little Caesars Arena. So OG, right thumb sprain, Josh Hart, right knee, and Mitchell Robinson, left ankle. Those guys were all out. And if you don't know, the Pacers won tonight. So that 3 seed is not all but locked up yet. And I said I wasn't going to say anything about the Brooklyn Nets again, but I'm going to bet that the Nets do come out with a different energy in Brooklyn the next time they play. It's a 1:00 game this Sunday against the Knicks. And I'm not saying that the Nets are going to beat the Knicks, but I did hear Jordy Fernandez talk about how, the coaches prepared the Brooklyn Nets, but they weren't ready to play tonight. I think it was like 33-14 in the first quarter. They were not ready to play tonight. I think they'll be ready to play against the Knicks. And why is that important? Because the Knicks have to beat the Nets to lock up that 3 seed. And I think you want to lock up that 3 seed. I want you to lock up that 3 seed just from watching the game tonight. I like that game tonight. I like the intensity. Detroit versus New York. And we'll get all the way into it. 888-808-1019. So without your full complement of players, you go into Little Caesars Arena and you're facing a Pistons team that hasn't made the playoffs since 2019. And those fans in there, you could tell they were very into the game. They were chirping at the players. They were very involved. All of the Pistons were involved. Their bench was involved. And they wanted to win this game, and they did. And they absolutely closed the Knicks out in the second half. But when I was watching this game in the beginning, my first thoughts were like, yo, if OG, Hart, and Mitchell Robinson are playing, this is no contest, right? At first, I'm watching the game, and I'm like, okay, we can put to bed any conversation of the Knicks having any trouble with Detroit, the new bad boys. How about Cade Cunningham? He's nice. And, like, he's really taking on, the city of Detroit. He's he's pulling his jersey up. How about that sequence where in the third quarter, it was like Cat was on the bench. His fouls were up. And you get Unk in the game. Unk is PJ Tucker, 39-year-old PJ Tucker. He's in the game, and it's starting to get chippy, right? Brunson had rolled his ankle, and, Unk has his back. And Schroeder fouls Brunson, stands over him. So they got to check Schroeder, Dennis Schroeder, former Brooklyn Net, former everything. And it got really ratcheted up, playoff intensity. PJ Tucker out there, he's got to get his win too. I think he played 27 minutes tonight. But it's good to have an enforcer out there, enforcer activated. He has a hard foul on Cunningham, kind of rattles Cunningham a little bit. Cunningham was having his way, but he missed both free throws. Good, because he would have had 38 tonight. And then, PJ Tucker fouls Schroeder, stands over him. Brunson's like, what? I got my big bro on the court with me. I don't know. That's where the game pretty much after that, it was over. The Knicks after that were just completely outscored. They were turning the ball over. There was a little bit more of Landry Shamet kind of going back and forth with a fan and hitting back-to-back threes. Even during that stretch, PJ Tucker hit his signature corner three. Old man just got to get his win back, run some wind sprints, get ready for the playoffs. 888-808-1019. But basically, in that fourth quarter, they just distanced themselves. The Pistons did. And already mentioned the turnovers. And you're seeing different rotations. Obviously, you're seeing just different sets of guys playing together. It's not going to be, completely crisp. Oh, how about Precious Achua, though? Beef stew, Isaiah Stewart had to bless him. Bang! Had to dunk on him and then give him the chest bump. And Isaiah Stewart doesn't want any smoke right now. He's not trying to get suspended right now. He's not trying to have eyes on him going into the playoffs. But anyway, long story short, short story long, the energy between the Knicks and the Pistons was up. It was all the way up for a game that the Knicks did not have all of their starters. It would look a lot different, in my opinion, if you have OG there to guard Cade Cunningham. And, he's going to come to the Garden and try and go off. I think the Knicks can gentleman sweep them. I think there might be one game that the Pistons can get if it's a game that Cunningham goes for 40. But I don't see him going for 40 if you have OG there to check him, even if you have Josh Hart there as well. Mitchell Robinson too. So Knicks fans, tell me how you feel. Glass half empty, glass half full, coming off of a loss where you could have locked up the 3 seed tonight, where you did have a 13-point lead. where maybe now you gave Detroit a little bit of confidence, but maybe it's false hope. Maybe it's not really confidence. 888-808-1019. We already got a break because we're up against the 11 o'clock update. Keith McPherson on the Fan. Call the show. We'll be right back. No, I want to get a couple calls and then I'll tease it. Pistons versus the Tangerines. Left Diggy. Leaf Diggy. Joe Shane is the worst, the front office member. Of course he did. If we get Knicks, Detroit Pistons, I will be locked in. Everybody will, bro. I think that'll be a good first-round matchup, but not so fast. You could see Knicks Bucks. It's not locked up yet. It is not locked up yet. What's up, man? I'm going to talk about it, bro. Like, they're not as young as they appear, right? Some of their stars and main players are young, like Cade Cunningham, Asor Thompson, Jalen Duren, Malik Beasley. But in between them, they have Tim Hardaway Jr., Tobias Harris, Dennis Schroeder, Isaiah Stewart. They have some veterans. They have some guys that have been around and have played in the playoffs. So we'll get into it. I'll mention that, Ben.
Good evening at 11 o'clock. I'm Marco Belletti, and this report is brought to you by New York State Tax Department's Direct File program. Possible playoff preview, and the Pistons showed the Knicks what they might be in store for. Rally from 13 down in the third, finished them off 115-106. Cade Cunningham poured in 36, and Detroit outmuscled the Knicks. Were playing shorthanded. Josh Hart, OJ Anunoby, and Mitchell Robinson all sat this one out. The Knicks missed a chance to clinch the 3 seed. Magic number does remain one of the Pacers, just 2 games to play. So is there any pressure being felt by Tom Thibodeau to wrap this up after failing twice to do so? Hawks, they rolled the Nets 133-109. Justin Rose, 3-shot lead, 7 under after 1 round of the Masters. Defending champion Scottie Scheffler, 4 under, while Fred Couples became the second oldest player to ever break par, shot a 1 under at the age of 65. Rangers, they put a beat down on the Islanders 9-2, and Alan Lazard remains with the Jets after a massive pay cut. Lazard dropped his base salary from $11 million to just $2.25 million, while the Jets, they avoid the final year of his deal, allows him to be a free agent at year's end. 43 degrees, raining in Central Park, and that's happening. I'm Marco Belletti.
inside the 11 p.m. hour on the Fan in New York. It's April 10th. We're talking about your Go New York, Go New York, Go, your New York Knicks, as we are getting close to another playoff run. How long will this run be? Keith McPherson on the Fan. During the break, I'm in the live chat, streaming live on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram. And my guy, Ben, who is the host of the Sports Pod, says Detroit is just too young to really compete in a playoff series. I wouldn't say that. Experience plays, and we all know, right? What you just saw was a regular season game. Playoffs are way different. Everybody's playing defense. The schemes are different. The stars shine. It's star time. And, I just say experience plays. The guys that have been there before, they rise above everyone and everything else. But what I was just breaking down to Ben is like, okay, this team, they have young starters and young stars in obviously Cade Cunningham, Asor Thompson, Jalen Duren. But in between them, they have Tim Hardaway Jr., Tobias Harris, Dennis Schroeder, Isaiah Stewart, guys that have been around for a little while and do have playoff experience. Even, Malik Beasley's been around for a little while now. So I won't say that they're too young to win a series. We've seen young teams compete. We haven't seen young teams, obviously, get it all the way, to the finals and win or anything like that. But I wouldn't sleep on anybody. I don't think you're ducking anybody either. I also don't think, I listened to Tom Thibodeau speak after the game. They're obviously trying to get that 3 seed. They're trying to win these games. They're trying to be the highest seed they could be going into the playoffs. I know there's a scenario where they could face the Bucks, but ultimately I think that they win, whether they beat the Cavs tomorrow or whether they beat the Knicks, and we'll see what happens with the Pacers. But with the Pacers winning tonight and the Knicks losing tonight, that 3 seed didn't get locked up. Let's get to the phones. Mark is all the way out in California, but he's actually back in New York, New Jersey, somewhere. What's up, Mark?
I'm still here in Jersey. I leave on Monday. So, yeah, I went to Wawa today now. First time at Wawa, I don't know, over like 12 years, 13 years.
That's funny you say that. There was a guy in my elevator today. I live in Jersey City, and he had a Wawa. It looked like he had some Wawa chicken tenders. And I wanted to say, like, yo, where's there a Wawa around here? Where'd you get that? Like, did you just come from a trip? Because there's no Wawas up here.
Body from the air fryer, dude. It's like, my air fryer is my best friend. Like, he is my best friend. I use it. So when I do it, I make dehydrated banana chips for her. You throw the banana chips in there, it has the dehydrated option on my air fryer, and it's like, oh my God, dude. It's so good. Have you ever been to Sheep? Or Sheep?
Of course. Of course.
Okay. Those sandwiches are so good.
I went to school in Virginia for a little while. Down in West Virginia, they have sheets. Like when you start to get into the South, they got sheets.
Yeah, I went to Rutgers. So I went to Rutgers.
So you're just eating fat sandwiches and going to that like hot dog place and.
Oh my God, dude! Tony Luke is the best cheesesteak you could approve of. Yeah.
Shout out Tony Luke's. I got to meet him. Anyway, we're supposed to talk about the Knicks.
Yeah, dude, listen. 21 points again in the fourth quarter. Keith, come on. You know what I'm going to say, man. And listen, I understand no OG, no Josh Hart, no Mitchell Robinson, right? I get it. Okay. But do you think if the Knicks had those guys, they would beat Detroit? I do, right? I mean,
yes. It looks a lot different with those three. Defensively, it looks a lot different, and offensively. And not for nothing, not to cut you off, bro. Brunson rolled his ankle. Cat got into foul trouble. Like I can't read into this game as far as saying what will happen in a playoff series. What I'm leaning into is, hey, the Pistons and their fans in Detroit got a little bit of a battery in their back. They got some confidence. Like they're not going quietly after getting this win tonight.
Yeah, and Indiana didn't look very good against play absolutely nobody. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, if they're tied, Knicks would have the tiebreaker advantage, so they have the head-to-head record 2-1. So there's no really tanking scenario because like Detroit and Milwaukee are still good. Milwaukee is a good team. So is Detroit. But listen, if the Knicks lose in the first round, which I don't think will happen, but if that happens, is Tiff gone? Is he gone?
I don't know. We were talking about it last night. We've been talking about it for days. I don't think it would be the right move to get rid of him, but some heads will probably, someone's got to get fired. Heads will have to roll. You know, if
who I would love, and he's from New York. I don't know if you know who I'm talking about.
Mike Malone, everybody's been saying it.
My God, I would, especially with what he's done. I mean, listen, Jokic is not having a great year, but he's having a pretty good year. He's struggling a little bit because of injury and other situations, but what he's done to that man, imagine what he can do with Cat. Like, it would be, in his eye, I think it would be great. Now,
I'm not gonna hold you. Like, Cat is great. Jokic is great. I don't know if Mike Malone turns Cat into Jokic, and I don't know if Mike Malone gets the credit for turning Jokic into Jokic, but go on.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the thing is when Jokic came to the NBA, he wasn't the type of player that he is now under Mike Malone in terms of just the defensive versatility he has, the ability to shoot threes, the leadership that he has, right? They're all like, you know, people say he's not fit enough, he's not big enough, strong enough, he's put on muscle, all that stuff, right? The problem here with the reason why, and I've always been critical of this, right? But the biggest issue is we've seen it enough. And me and you both as Yankee fans, it's Carlos Rodon. Like,
What?
Got that, like, you know what you're getting, but the thing is we've seen it enough already. This is over 4 years with kids, bro. I get that we were bad years ago, and now we finally won 50 plus and all that stuff, right? But you have to start to think, like, how much more could they really do with kids? You got Bridges, you got Cat, you got the best offensive team you ever had. If you lose in the first round, I mean, this team is built not to win a championship. You got the Celtics, you got, in case you make the finals, you got the Thunder, right? But you got the Cavs. So it's like, dude, this year is stacked, right? This might not be the next year.
No, it's definitely not the Knicks year. Thanks for the call, Mark. It's not the Knicks year. But I also don't think they're going to get knocked out in the first round. And if they do or they don't, I don't think they fire the coach. I think it's a building year. I think it's the first year of Mikal Bridges. No, you know it's the first year of Mikal Bridges, Karl Anthony Towns on this team. We've been talking about this all season. I called it very early. I'm not taking, victory lap, but I'm like, this team is not going to be what y'all think. It's not a trip to the Eastern Conference Finals their first year together. It takes time to develop chemistry, to figure out the identity of the team. Brunson may be a little hobbled here. That ankle is not back to full strength. He rolled it tonight, had to leave the game. OG with his offensive prowess that he showed over the last few weeks, like, is that going to be available in the playoffs? Karl Anthony Towns, he got in foul trouble tonight, and then I think I was watching the game, and Alan Hahn said he didn't attempt a three until about 9 minutes left in the game. Let me go to the team stats. It's tough to look at this game too and look at it like this is not the team that the Pistons are going to face, and the Pistons rolled out everybody they had fully healthy. Yeah, the Knicks shot 32% from deep, and then if I look at they were turning the ball over. Let's see, 17 turnovers, and then in the paint, the Pistons had 66 points in the paint to their 46 points in the paint. But I can't draw any conclusions from this. I can't really all I'm taking from this game, and that's why I asked my Knicks fans that are listening. I'm not a Knicks fan. I'm an NBA fan. I'm barely a Nets fan because there's just really no reason to be watching the Nets and rooting for the Nets right now. You just got to go through the pain. You just got to act like it's not happening. You just got to ignore most of it and hope that lottery ball bounces. But as I'm watching the game, I'm like, okay, these Detroit fans are getting souped up off this game, and they have some confidence. That place is going to be packed. Like I joked that the Yankees were just out in Detroit and nobody wants to go to the D. Well, maybe Knicks fans need to try to go take over their building. Maybe you do need to take a look at the flights and ticket prices once this gets locked up. And maybe there needs to be that Knicks presence. They said that during the broadcast that the Knicks are used to traveling and there being a heavy Knicks contingent in every building. That was not the case tonight. Let's go to Danny in Maplewood. Danny, you know something that I don't know?
Yes, I do. I was a little hear you say that there's no Wawas, up here. You say you live in Jersey City?
Yeah, more Hoboken, Jersey City. Where is there a Wawa? You got to go out west.
No, well, you got to go out west, but Elizabeth has a Wawa. Linden has a Wawa.
Yeah, I don't go. I'm not.
Wawa.
I'm not going over there. And I rarely am over there. If I'm going over there, like I might as well go home. I might as well go down Monmouth County.
Yeah, but I mean, let's make sure with being truthful here. Wawa has spread out into Western Jersey, but as close as Elizabeth to where you are.
Yeah.
And they've been the big one that they opened in Springfield. That is just beautiful. It's a giant one, and yeah, they've been branching out.
Yeah, it used to be just a South Jersey, Philly type of thing.
Yeah.
But they have started to creep up further north. I'm just saying there isn't one in Hoboken, Jersey City, Bayonne, the areas that I'm frequently in. But maybe I got to go a little further out to run into one of these northern ones. I haven't seen a new shiny one in anywhere that I frequent.
Well, anyway, listen, I do want to tell you that I listen to you very often. I really enjoy what you bring to the table. You're one of my favorite hosts on FAN, and you're a good listen, So I just keep doing what you're doing.
Thanks, Danny. Thanks for the call and letting me know about that as well. I got to go. Next time I'm like randomly in the car, which is tomorrow, I might want to just go get a hero, go get some chicken fingers, go get a something from Wawa and type into the map Wawa and see what the nearest one to me is.
It's definitely worth it. Get the pretzels.
Oh yeah, pretzels, cookies. I'm actually getting ready for the summer bod. Thanks, Danny. 888-808-1019. Boy, dad, no dad bod. Been working on my six pack. I'm trying to be jacked. You feel me? I'm trying to be ripped. I'm definitely gonna be like semi in shape, but like the six pack is tough, and the six pack starts in the kitchen. You could sit there and do 200 crunches, but then if you have 200 calories, they cancel out. 888-808-1019. I gotta stop with that. I gotta, less carbs, less processed food as we get closer to, Cinco de Mayo and then Memorial Day weekend. I'm trying to be, I'm not trying to see no bellies. I'm not trying to be that guy. I said, I'm trying to be ripped. I'm trying to be jacked. Anyway, Harvey and Dix Hills, I haven't heard from you in a while, probably because you prioritize your sleep and go to bed at night. How you doing?
I have what's called, what I do for a living. I have a time problem. For me, it's a four-letter word, to be quite frank with you. That doesn't mean I don't listen to you, because I was one of your first callers, either your first day or second day, when you started. And the reason I did look forward to that is that you are a college quarterback with a lot of knowledge of football, and I love football.
Yeah, I hear you calling the Moose. Who else did I hear you calling to recently? I that's what I said. I know you call and listen to the Fan, but you go to bed at night.
It's my 27th year on the
Fan. Congrats. Much longer than me.
Well, I'll tell you what, before I go to what I want to do, I want to thank you, because he won't mind, one of my patients named Anthony is a caller to the Fan and a coach. And he referenced that call of you and Chris, and I love you both together, by the way, you and McMonagle. You're great. You both know football very well. And in that show, I think I remember that I went through the Harvey miscalculations of Shane. That was a call, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
That's right. I'm trying to remember. I started with Julian Love and Leonard Williams, and I graduated to my favorite defensive coordinator, Wink Martindale, who went to Michigan and brought him to fame, and hired Shane Bowen, who is not half what Meek Martindale is, and my favorite one is Barkley. And if I can just remember that only two people loved that pick for the second pick in the draft. That was me and Kim Jones, who's a Penn Stater.
Yep.
And that turned out to be correct. I'm telling you. Gettleman got killed for drafting him, and even your partner. I love Chris McMonagle, his knowledge of football. But to the end, he has said that the Giants made a big mistake drafting a running back with the second pick. And my philosophy is it doesn't matter what position you play. If you think that player is going to be a great player, that's who you draft.
And it's a team game. The Giants never put the offensive line and players around him to get the most out of Saquon Barkley. We saw it immediately when he left.
That's right. Well, I knew it before. That's the problem. I've known it since the pick. You know, the Giants you don't know about the experiment that the Giants had. They're going to play the season without an offensive line. Did you know that?
Seems like they play every season with 10 different configurations of their offensive line.
They have a bad line, right? And but anyway, believe me, I'm not a Shane supporter. I would have fired him, as everybody knows. I don't think he hasn't shown to me that has the ability to evaluate personnel, which leads us to what I was going to talk about, and that involves the quarterback. Now, I've heard of many people say they should draft Travis Hunter with the third pick. Well, I'll tell you what, Shane has said he's so glad that he has Winston and Russell Wilson because now he has flexibility. Two has-been quarterbacks. Winston can't find the color of the jersey. He needs to know what color the jerseys are on the defense. And then they have Russell Wilson, who Pittsburgh didn't want. And this is what they're going to base their. I'd love to hear the conversation between Shane and John Mara, who I believe has lost his way. All right. To me, the only way you can build a team. One of my coaches, I say this so often on the fan. One of my quarterbacks said, if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a team. And I've known that for a long time. And the Giants don't have a quarterback, which leads us to the fact that they have to. There is no flexibility. James, I got flexibility. There is no flexibility in this draft. They have a chance with a number 3 pick to pick the best quarterback that they think is a better quarterback, although I don't trust them to do that. And that is my number one opinion, and that's why I wanted your opinion.
Marco comes in and does that live.
I'm starting to watch tape and things. I think Cam Ward is the form of the draft. And if they can trade up, which I think Tennessee would be crazy to give them up, I would do that. I would trade draft capital to do that. And I believe the second best quarterback is Jackson Dart. And my criterion is total yardage and percentage of completions. All right. And I think that Dart will be a better quarterback than Sanders, although I don't know. And I want to know your opinion. The other thing, the Dallas Cowboys some guy I was looking at was Joe Milton. And all they did was exchange draft choices, the 7th for the 5th. I've talked about that for weeks already. He's a one-game wonder. But I think he went from Michigan to Tennessee and played one game for New England. And actually, I think it was like 260 yards or 300 yards he threw for. And now Dallas are going to have. We're going to see what he's like. What is your opinion about quarterbacks? I believe they have to draft a quarterback. This is their time. And the problem is, I think that Joe Shane, I don't know what conversation they had. Joe Shane wants to save his career by winning. And I don't believe it'll be enough to the Giants. I really don't.
Harvey, man, good to hear from you. That was a lot. Thank you, though, for that call. 888-808-1019. I will answer all of those questions, and we'll get back to the conversation around the New York Knicks. But we got to take a break. So listen, and I literally just put in my notes, this regime, the mistakes that Shane made, the quarterback situation now with Jameis and with Russ, and maybe drafting a quarterback. Can they get Cam Ward? Should they get Shedeur Sanders if he's there? Should they take Travis Hunter? The Dallas Cowboys actually being the team to go get boom bazooka Joe Milton? I didn't see that coming. So we will get back to the Knicks conversation. And obviously in my notes, I have a ton of NFL draft stuff that we're going to do tonight. We're 2 weeks away from the 2025 NFL draft in Green Bay. This is Keith McPherson on the Fan. KM to AM. We'll be right back. All right, yo. What was I about to say? Oh, that's funny. Noti Squad. Yeah, that's dope. I appreciate Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, people that have the notifications on that I'm going live. Today, what I did for the first time was throw a slate up. I threw up the stream starting soon slate. So that, people would pull up and the chat was full before I even got going. So yeah, shout out to Katie, Noti Squad. Katie also was talking to my guy, Joe. Joe went to my high school, Big Red Spartans, Big Red Country, OT Rep. He said those updates happen live in studio or are they pre-recorded? Now, that update that you heard was Marco Belletti. He was right here. Like, you see this other microphone right here? They'll come in, they'll sit right here and do the update live right here. But there are some times where the updates happen remotely and there's nobody in here. We just get them from, whoever's doing them from their house, I guess. Aroldis Chapman is bringing the heat. Yeah, I saw 37 years old, still throwing 102. Steven, tomorrow we will chat. I got you, bro. I might be going to the Yankee game, but the weather is looking like that's about to be pushed. It's an 85% chance of rain tomorrow, and it's supposed to be raining like around 6 p.m. I don't see it. I don't see how they're going to be able to even have batting practice and get that game in, but we'll see. Either way, if I'm going to the game, I'll answer it in the car. We'll connect. Bridgewater, you talking about Teddy? Yeah, that's part of this too, right? Giving y'all a behind the scenes look. My MacBook is mobile, like I can take this MacBook and I can walk. The other shows that have these cameras right here, like see these cameras right here? These cameras are like for SNY TV. They can't take this mobile. They can't walk with it. Same thing in the Boomer and Geo studio. This is the Boomer and Geo studio. So these cameras up here, these cameras are for CBS Sports Network in the morning. They're stationary. They can't give you a behind the scenes look. So not only can you listen to me on the radio, listen to me on the app, you can watch the live stream and you can pretty much be in the building. This is a commercial break right now. So talk to my producer real quick. Yo, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit all that Giants stuff. I'm going to take a Giants call. I'll try and get these 2 Knicks calls. And then when we go to the next break, I'll tease the big shot. And it's probably going to be someone from the Rangers game because the Knicks lost. I don't want to give it to a Ranger. So just have it for the next break coming back. Wawa in Bridgewater. I don't know where that is. Do you have faith in Stroman? I don't. We'll get to the Yankees talk at some point. All right, here we go. It's me, your boy KM on the fan here. 888-808-1019. Thanks for holding. Thanks for waiting through the break. You could have went to sleep. You could have cut the TV on, cut the radio off, exited out of the app. Said, I'm over this. I'm guessing you like sports. I'm guessing you like to listen to random calls and a random guy like myself talk sports. The radio is free. You don't even have to pay for this. You don't even have to subscribe. Let's get back into it. Harvey and Dix Hills had a call where he laid out a lot of different things about Joe Shane and obviously the misses where he let go of Julian Love, Evan Ingram, Xavier McKinney, Saquon Barkley. We don't have to go through the bunch of names. Leonard Williams, Sterling Shepard, just a bunch of guys. Even the way that he handled Nick McLeod's departure and Daniel Jones' departure, not really good. Hard Knocks, one and done because of Joe Shane. Literally, off-season Hard Knocks. I remember last year getting on the fan saying, man, they should have did this sooner. How cool was that to be a fly on the wall? I know if I'm John Mara, I'm firing whoever's idea it was. The Giants stayed away for decades, for almost like 20 years of Hard Knocks. They stayed away. And they do the first offseason Hard Knocks. And we see how they gave away Saquon Barkley. I would have had to fire the guy off of that. But anyway, Harvey was talking about the quarterback position. And as I listen to WFAN and I hear people screaming about how the Giants need to draft a quarterback, and I was one of them saying they need to draft a quarterback too before they signed Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson. Before they, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't expecting them to sign them both. I was thinking once they signed Jameis, still draft a quarterback. Now that you signed two veterans that started games last year, that won games last year, you don't draft a quarterback 3 overall. You don't. And I also don't think that this regime is good at evaluating quarterbacks. Let's go back. When they came in, they took a look at Daniel Jones. They brought in Tyrod Taylor. They didn't pick up Daniel Jones' rookie option. I know he was hurt. But they basically took a look at Daniel Jones, all the film on him, and they said, no. We got to bring in Tyrod Taylor. We got to challenge this guy. This is not our guy. We're not picking up his option. Okay. Then that guy goes out, wins some games, and they evaluate him to be the reason that they won all of those games. The reason that their offense was successful is because they had Saquon Barkley they could give the ball to 30 times. This guy was throwing the ball to Richie James. Barely. So this is why I say I don't think that they evaluate quarterbacks well. You gave that contract to Daniel Jones. Mistake. Big mistake. And then even with the quarterbacks that you decided to bring in, Drew Lock for $5 million. Man, let's even go back. Tommy DeVito started off as a quarterback that you didn't even want to throw a damn check down. And then you get him ready and you let him go out there and beat the Packers, beat the Patriots, beat the Commanders, and they're laughing at you because they're like, yo, you don't see these mock drafts? You don't see Jaden Daniels coming? You don't see Drake May coming next year? So, like, you guys rather beat us and miss out on franchise quarterbacks? Okay. So now I still don't think that they're good at evaluating quarterbacks. You don't need both Russ and Jameis. You don't need both of their personalities in your quarterback room, in your building, underneath your, you don't. But you did. And you actually got them for the cheap. I'll give you that. The cost, it was very cost effective. It ain't costing you that much. But you might have 2 bum-ass QBs and then not draft your future QB, and I understand it because right now you are making decisions for your life. That's why I would have fired these guys and started fresh because I wouldn't want guys making decisions saying, we got to win games. John Mara said he better be in a better mood next year, which means we got to win games. You have the toughest strength of schedule, the longest odds to the Super Bowl. You do have some talent. I like your draft last year. I like your free agency class this year. You do have some talent, but it's the NFL, man. You got to coach those guys up. You got to get some luck. And when you have the toughest strength of schedule, teams like the Chiefs coming in, the 49ers, I don't know, I got to go pull that up. The Chargers, the Packers, you obviously still got to deal with the Super Bowl champs twice. The Dallas Cowboys, who with Dak Prescott, and even without Dak Prescott, if they have Joe Milton, you have a hard time beating them. And about Joe Milton, yeah, that was a target of the Giants potentially. But I told y'all, Jordan Schultz, shout out to Jordan Schultz. I've had him on the show. Jordan Schultz reported that the Patriots sent Joe Milton to his preferred destination. Maybe the Giants were in on him, but he didn't want to be a Giant. He said his mom's a Cowboys fan, family members are a Cowboys fan. They traded him away for some pick swaps, a 5th and a 7th, swapping those picks to be the backup in Dallas. Cooper Rush is gone. You know, Trey Lance is done. And stupid Jerry Jones traded away a 4th-round pick for Trey Lance. That 4th-round pick could have been Bucky Irving. Oh, my goodness. I don't even know why we have that in the system. Like, Justin Fields wants to talk about rhetorical questions. I was the first one on the fan last night saying, it's a hypothetical question, Justin. What are you talking about? I don't like to answer rhetorical question. Jerry Jones telling everyone, when you're the general manager, which I am. No kidding. Anyway, drafting Shedeur Sanders now makes no sense. Don't draft Shedeur Sanders at 3 if he's there. Pass right on by. You're not going to be able to trade up to get Cam Ward now. And you know what? And I hate to call you dummies, but you lost 10 games in a row. And you had the number 1 pick where people were making Photoshop images of Cam Ward in the Giants uniform. He was right there for you. But you wanted to go out and beat the Colts with Drew Lock having the best game in Giants quarterback history. None of it makes sense, man. None of it makes sense, man. And the blood is on these guys' hands. And if they want to play a game where they trade back and they see if Jackson Dart falls or they want to take a swing at Jalen Milroe, for what? For why? We already understand. You need to take an Abdul Carter, or, which I said, I don't think they're taking Abdul Carter. I think it's peculiar that Brian Dable is at Penn State having lunch with the kid. I think that's a smokescreen. Let's make the NFL world think that we are going to wine and dine the top pass rusher in the draft, and then we'll take calls because somebody desperately needs an edge rusher, outside linebacker, and we'll make the trade with. I don't think that, they could take Abdul Carter. And then also Harvey talked about Travis Hunter. I like Travis Hunter. I think he would work here. They asked this guy, like, how did you handle being in the wide receiver meetings, the DB meetings, the offense meeting, the defense meeting? He had to do a lot of homework. You could probably each day pick and choose which one you sat in on. You can't be in both at the same time. But what he said is there's 24 hours in a day. You sleep 8 of them. The other 16 is all football. No, it's not. We see you dancing on TikTok. We see you playing video games on Twitch. Don't you hang out with that girl that you made popular? But I think he would come here and sell jerseys. And I think he would come here and be a safe pick, because if he doesn't work at corner, you make him work at wide receiver. He's an explosive player. I was telling y'all months ago, go look up him playing basketball. I always look at that. Football players like usually struggle to move like that on a basketball court. If you see a football player that can move like that on the basketball court, that means he's a pure athlete. So Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter or potentially trade back. 888-808-1019. I was trying to talk Knicks. So let's take these Knicks calls. Stay tuned for the big shot of the night. And then I have it. We're going to talk all about the Giants draft and the New York Jets draft. Sabi out on Long Island. You're on the Fan. Thanks for holding. Oh, nice to know that. Nice to break that down. I don't know if I'm following you. I'll make sure to follow now.
I think there's a lot of criticism that goes like towards Tibbs' ways, and I think I caught a little bit of what you were saying because I joined from my car, but just like in general, like a lot of people, especially on Twitter, the criticism of Tibbs, while I think some of it makes sense, overall, I think a lot of people are forgetting that when you compare the Knicks to the Boston Celtics and the Cleveland Cavaliers, especially this year, those guys got continuity on their team, right? Like their core has been together 4 years. Obviously, Boston a little bit longer, but obviously they added in Drew last year, but they won the chip, so the pressure is there for them. Cleveland, like their core has been there for 3 years, whereas with us, like it was a big change this year, right? 2 new starters into the lineup. You can argue even a third in some way with OG who came in half the season before. So I'm a big believer in like continuity and chemistry, and I think that really matters for playoff success. So now, obviously, if we were to lose in the first round, then like you said, things, someone's gonna get it. right? Someone's gonna have to go, and it'll probably start with Tibbs. But I don't think we're losing the first round. I'm excited to see our playoff push, but I think we're seeing the effects of losing our team from last year. The Harden fans, the Dante DiVincenzo's, and even Randall, if I dare say something.
Yeah.
His physicality, like I'm not gonna back down, his bully ball, right? So I think we're missing a lot of that, but I'm excited to see what they do in the playoffs, and hopefully, we put up a fight with Boston the other day. We're fully healthy, and if we can get past the first round and at least give them a competitive series, like I think they will keep the team intact like the following season. And just really quickly on the Yankees, I was chatting with a friend earlier, and baseball fans especially, we get super emotional and like, wow, like the season's like, for us, and it's like, we always say 27 outs, but I think we also got to start saying, 152 games. You know what I mean? Especially with the Yanks, like pitching wise, get Clutch Schmidt and Louis Hill back soon, hopefully. So, 162 games. I'm excited to see when these guys come back. And Max Pride came through for us big time the other night. So, again, 162 games, a long season, and I think we can still make a crack at it. Yeah, appreciate you taking the call, man, and keep it going. Big fan of your show.
Yo, thanks for the call. Shout out to you and your girl. Make sure you guys are following Everything Knicks on Twitter and Everything Yankees at All Yankees on Twitter, at Everything Knicks on Twitter. So, yes, with the Knicks, the whole thing I was saying, and people were, people always think you're hating when you're not a Knicks fan and you speak on it, but I'm just talking about what I've seen. Last year, that Knicks team that added OG to Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo and Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson, that team was beating everybody they played, and they started to develop an identity, and they were tough and they were gritty, and Knicks fans were really rallying around them. Obviously, Julius gets hurt, and I remember getting on the fan the night, a couple of nights after he got hurt. I think it was the Kings game. They beat the Kings, and I'm like, it's cool that they beat the Kings and all, but they are not making it to an Eastern Conference Finals without Julius Randle, without his attitude, his size, his scoring ability. Is just like you lost something. And every time you make a trade, you lose something as well. Every time you shift the team, as the Knicks have over these last 4 years, 5 years, like you lose a piece of yourself and you're starting over again with a new identity. So when they made the trade for Mikal Bridges, they gave up picks. Okay. The hype was, now we've got Mikal Bridges. Like, he'll be able to guard Tatum. No. But, like, now we've got almost like a cheat code to that continuity and chemistry. We're getting guys that won together in college that are best friends, that know each other so well, they'll be able to just pick that right up on the court. Okay, so you had that for a little while, but with iHeart going to OKC, because you weren't able to pay him what OKC could pay him, you lose that part of the identity that you had in the run last year. He was a huge part of it. His toughness, his rebounding, his passing ability. So you make the big move to get Karl Anthony Towns. And to get, you have to give. So you give up Dante DiVincenzo and Julius Randle. So effectively, right there, we never get to see this team with iHeart, Julius Randle, Dante. We don't get to see them again with OG, with Hart, with Brunson, and what we thought with Mikal. That never materialized. And so what materialized is this team that we have now, but they're missing something. And this is their first year together. Leon Rose, where you at? I know you did the most to get this team to where they are, and props to you for that. But maybe the Mikal Bridges move was one move too far. Maybe, I obviously you had to get Cat because Mitch was down and you lost iHeart. You needed a big. But, like, this team is not a team that you can expect to get past the second round, and that's what you're waiting on now. They got knocked out by the Heat 2 years ago. They got knocked out by the Pacers last year. Are they going to get knocked out by the Celtics this year? If so, heads will have to roll because that's just the business. This is New York. People are going to be upset, and I think it's the wrong decision to fire the head coach. Nick is in Bloomfield, New Jersey. Nick, you're on the fan.
Oh, man, what's up? Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for waiting. You got it.
Mike Malone let go in Denver, and I've heard some Knicks fans talking about like a first round upset, and then maybe Tibbs is gone. But I think Tibbs someone brought up continuity, and for a long time, you know, now Tibbs is here. You guys have continuity. You have a really good team. Bridges has like one of the best jumpers in the world. And, you know, keep it together. Whatever happens in this playoff, bring some confidence into the Garden. I was in the Garden last year when Josh Hart beat the Pistons on like a last-second shot. And worry about it, you know, worry about it if you don't win the championship. And otherwise, just go as far as you can, you know, and keep it together. Keep it together. That's all I got. That's what I'm saying.
Thanks for the call, Nick. I'll say this. That's a good way to approach things. That is glass half full. It's the playoffs. We don't know what's going to happen. We'll worry about it. We'll take it day by day, game by game, series by series, like I always tell you to do with baseball. That's a good way to think as a fan. But also there are just realistic fans that are like, come on, bro. We haven't beat the Celtics. They beat us all 4 times with, you know, with or without Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, Porzingis, Drew Holiday. Like when they're fully healthy, we can't rock with them. And now I wouldn't even be worried about the Celtics. I'd be worried about locking up the 3 seed and making sure that the Pistons don't think that they're big enough to go toe to toe with you, that they don't get some confidence that they can make it a series and potentially knock you out in the first round. And that's why I'm encouraging Knicks fans. If you've never been to Michigan, I haven't. If you've never been to Detroit, well, now you have a reason, because that building is ready to back their team. They made the playoffs last, 6 years ago. So they're ready, right? They're ready to back this team. They believe in this team. This team is ahead of schedule. And you could tell tonight how they were getting at some of the Knicks players, and the environment turned into like a playoff intensity environment. I know the Garden is going to be the Garden no matter what, but like you got to back this team on the road. They're used to having that support wherever they travel. Knicks fans travel well. 888-808-1019. Coming up next, the big shot of the night and more of your calls. Keith McPherson on the Fan. I'll be right back. Typo, all good. Yo, Ben, what I was saying, I remember when Julius Randle went down. Was it Jaime Jaquez that undercut him, or somebody undercut him or something? Not long after that, they beat the Kings. And I had a show the night they beat the Kings, and I bet the Kings. But they beat the Kings without Julius Randle. And I was like, yo, that's good and all that they beat the Kings, but I don't see them making the Eastern Conference Finals without Julius Randle. People started getting offensive, calling me a hater, this, that, and the other. So, like, I backed off of it. But then I was absolutely correct. They got hurt. They ran out of gas. And if they had Julius Randle, maybe they're able to beat the Pacers. If the Knicks lose in the first round as Tibbs loses his job, I don't think he deserves to be fired off that. But he very well could be, because there's always got to be somebody to blame. There's always got to be, that's why I say heads will roll. Somebody always has to be held accountable. Let's see, big shot of the night. I want to hear this. Oh, I can't play it. I think Connor might be trying to edit it. New Darren Waller just dropped. That's funny. Yeah, bro. The way that I get dressed to come to work, like, let me try and give y'all like a look. First off, this is from Bonnaroo. This is a Bonnaroo headband. If you've ever been to Bonnaroo, shout out to my Coachella people. My sister's out at Coachella right now. I don't know when I'll return to Coachella, but Coachella is the best festival that we have in this country. Bonnaroo is a close second or third. It's unlock your mind. Key to your mind. Unlock your mind. Radiate positivity. Bonnaroo, Manchester, Tennessee, out there on the farm. If you know, you know. If you don't know, then what I'm saying to you doesn't make any sense. This is my own year. If you notice, it looks like the WFAN year because I start the show with the year. Just making sure the music doesn't come back. And I gotta find a big shot of the night. Let's see. I'm wearing the vest just because I'm done wearing jackets for the year, but it still gets a little cold, so I threw the vest on. I'm about to take this off actually. Who scored the most goals for the Rangers tonight? That's who's gonna be the big shot. Artemi Panarin, Alexi Lafreniere, Artemi Panarin. I'll give it to Artemi Panarin. Let's see. Yeah. So back to the fit. Bonnaroo headband. Also, these are blue light glasses. I have some issues like I'll be in here at night and with these lights and staring at the screen, I'll go home and I'll try and go to sleep and I'll just see those spots. So the blue light helps. Blue light glasses help with that. Check the fade on these. The brand is called Key, pronounced Key, but spelled K. Just some Nike joggers and some Nike Air Max. I'm definitely one of the more stylish guys around here by accident. I went to the gym. I showered up real quick. I got dressed in 5 minutes. Yo, get your rest. All of this goes to podcast, and you can rewind in the app. And now that I do this video will live on my YouTube channel forever. Too many curse words in the new Darren Waller, but I like the bop. Before you get out of here, just to play this is what this guy left the Giants and retired to do. He hasn't dropped a hit yet. It's CTE. Like, why are you outside Allegiant Stadium? Did you even play in there? Like, he might have played one season in there. Okay, here we go. The big shot of the night is brought to you by WFAN and me, Keith McPherson. Bright lights, big city, bunch of big shots. Tonight's big shot of the night goes to, drum roll please. Nah, none of the Knicks. They lost. Let's go to the bread man, Artemi Panarin. I didn't watch the game. I don't think it matters at this point to watch two teams who are not going to the playoffs, but the Rangers scored 9 goals. Smile, Rangers fans. After giving up 8 goals, they bounce back. They show you that they didn't quit. They're not gutless. They care still. And I'll give an honorable mention to Igor Shesterkin. We'll pour up a double shot, I'll say. One for Artemi Panarin and the other one for Igor Shesterkin because he had 44 saves. But, yeah, I didn't watch this game. I was watching the Knicks game. I watched a little bit of the Nets game, and it was over in UBS. I know Evan and Morash were over there. I think Morash is doing a food review, I think I saw on Twitter. Something like that. Morash Eats, if you want to check that out. And Rangers fans, feel free to call. You beat the Icelanders in their building in the Battle of New York 9-2. Icelanders fans, feel free to chime in as well. At this point, I think you guys are just like, whatever, it's a wrap. Just, a feel-good win for the Rangers. And Rangers fans, if you went over there and, got cheaper tickets to go see them than you would in the Garden, good for you. And, yeah, if you want to weigh in on that, feel free to dial 888-808-1019. Now we're about to get back into the Giants conversation. I see some people that called when I was doing my conversation around Joe Shane and Brian Dable and this regime. I just feel like no matter what they do, they're trapped. They're dead men walking. And if they're not, like, I don't know what Mara is on, because he should have fired these guys. You should have fired these guys. I would have fired these guys. I don't know. I would have fired these guys in season. They had some embarrassing losses. I would have fired these guys right after Baker Mayfield was doing the Tommy DeVito, Tommy Cutlets all fast. Remember, he was doing it real fast. I'm like, Baker, that's not how we do it, bro. That's not how we do the pinching hands. He was doing it way too fast. I would have fired them after Saquon and the Eagles smacked them. You know, it's just a bad look, and there's no way out of this mess. 888-808-1019. You need to have a masterful draft. That's the phrase I've been using for Joe Shane. He had a pretty good draft last year, but I think we overinflate it because, like, those guys that he drafted that were able to play on this team, Malik Neighbors aside, and like anybody questioning at this point the pick last year of the Giants not taking a quarterback, which I understand Michael Penix Jr. was there, Bo Nix were there, they would not have become what they and Bo Nix became what he became because of Sean Payton. And Michael Penix Jr., the book is still out on, even though I was telling you MPJ, that was a great pick for Atlanta, and I think he's going to be good down there. So much of it is about situation. Anybody questioning Malik Neighbors, you're bugging out. There was just a story last week or a couple days ago about how the Cardinals wish that their scouts, that they did more of their due diligence. Remember, Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't work out at the combine. He didn't work out. He didn't do anything. Off of his college film and his namesake, he knew he was going to be the first wide receiver taken. Malik Neighbors is a more explosive player. Malik Neighbors is a lock to be a star in this league. They're looking at him like Jamar Chase, who just won the Triple Crown. That was his comp coming into the league. I don't think he's that far off right now. Can you get him a consistent quarterback? Can you run the offense through him? And back to what I was saying about the class of rookies they drafted last year, from Tyrone Tracy to Tyler Nubin to Drew Phillips or Theo Johnson, you know, those guys playing on one of the worst teams in the NFL, it's not much of a flex. You know what I'm saying? They're playing on like a glorified college team in a way. Like, it's good that they were able to play and get that NFL experience, but the fact that they had to play, it just shows that there was a lack of talent on the team, and clearly the team didn't win. It wasn't like they were playing on a team and winning. It wasn't like Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean playing for the Eagles as rookies. 888-808-1019. They need to have a masterful draft. And having a masterful draft would include either taking a generational talent. I know that term gets thrown around a lot around here. One person says it, we all have to say it. But, you know, Abdul Carter and, oh, would you look at this? MSG. They've got the encore on right in front of me of the Rangers Isles game. So I'm here too. I guess I will watch it. Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter, I feel like you can't go wrong. Shedeur Sanders, I think, would be the wrong pick at this point. There's no need for these guys to pick a future quarterback for this franchise when they don't have a future if they win 4 games this year. 888-808-1019. Philip is in Jamaica, Queens. Welcome back, Phil.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Always glad you get to talk. And I want to talk about the Giants. And here's what I'm going to say. You should learn from the Eagles. In my opinion, how did they win the Super Bowl? They did the trenches. They built up the offensive line. They built up the defensive line. If you draft a quarterback, Giants, any quarterback would not do well, in my opinion, because they'll be killed because the offensive line can't protect. Any quarterback would not do well. I wish they learned from Daniel Jones, but I like Jones, but I think he got good.
In theory, it sounds good, but they didn't build that line in a year. What they did was replace Jason Kelsey and plug in Mekhi Becton. Those guys were new additions, but Landon Dickerson and Jordan Mailata, those guys had been there. And like Cam Jurgens was there just waiting in the wings. You know, like it took that's just the offensive line. Even their defensive line, they drafted, you know, the world let Jalen Carter fall to them. And guys like Milton Williams and Josh Sweat, they drafted those guys and developed those guys. And those guys were tough, but it didn't happen over the course of one offseason. It happened over the course of many years.
Well, that's true. It does take a long time to build the line. And I think that's the key to winning any Super Bowl, is build the trenches, the offensive and defensive line. Because if you draft any quarterback, I don't think any quarterback will be able to be as effective. They should learn Daniel Jones. I like Jones, but like I said, I don't think he did well, because he always thought he was rushed when he wasn't, because he got the fear of the defensive line.
Understood. And I'm with you, Philip. We've been talking about the Giants fixing or developing or having an offensive line for a decade.
No, that's true. That's true.
We can't act like they didn't just draft Andrew Thomas, Evan Neal, John Michael Schmitz, Josh Azudu. Who else have they drafted on their offensive line over the years? Like they always are trying to draft and develop and configure an offensive line. They sign offensive linemen. They bring in offensive linemen. It just hasn't worked.
Yeah, there's some bucks. Like Neal, he was supposed to be good. He was in Alabama, but he didn't turn out well in the NFL. Well, maybe he'll need another team.
Yeah. They even drafted Will Hernandez. Remember him? Thanks for the call, Philip. It hasn't worked. Eric Flowers did not work. You got to draft these guys and you got to hit. You got to draft these guys and they got to be a surefire lock. They got to be something that you just know is going to go. Now, I mean, in theory, right? Let's say Andrew Thomas is healthy this year. Let's say Evan Neal's figuring it out. But they did bring in a couple guys like Hudson and Van Roten, Runyon the year before. Like, they have enough of veteran offensive linemen that, like, the offensive line shouldn't be terrible. They should be good. Greg Van Roten, Roten. I always forget which way that's pronounced. I think Roten, or maybe Rotten. I'll look it up. Stone Forsythe and James Hudson III to go along with who they've already had. We'll talk more about it. 888-808-1019. Giants fans, call me up. Jets fans, call me up. This hour, we'll get more into the NFL draft and the conversation around who these teams should pick, what their needs are, taking the best available, drafting back, and all the rumors around the third pick and the 7th overall pick. Keith McPherson on the Fan. I'll say good morning on the other side. BRB. Yeah.
I think I got everything.
I was going to say, let's check it, because we could come back with it as the rejoin. We're talking Giants now. Darren Waller just dropped the new song.
Another one?
This is what he retired to do.
$800 and 2,300 PSI electric pressure washers under $190. See, straight to the point, so you can get straight to the savings. Whatever you do, do it for less at Harbor Freight. Valid until April 13th, 2025, while supplies last. Limitations apply.
Daydreamer to industry leader with Amazon Business. From office supplies to IT essentials, Amazon Business provides tools that help you save costs and make insight-based decisions. Learn how to bring your visions to life at AmazonBusiness.com.
I love this song. I love nachos. Loving everything. You might be buzzed. You know what I love? A ride. It's time to head out. If you see a buzz warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. That's a Tremitza and the ad counts. The Rico Bronya podcast is proudly sponsored by Takara Fuji Apple Chuhai, a sparkling cocktail that blends shochu spirits with delicious flavors of fruits from Japan. Whether it's City Field or your favorite spot, raise the apple. And Odyssey Sports Station.
Good morning at 12 o'clock. I'm Marco Belletti. Well, the Knicks with a little bit of a reality check as the Pistons showed them what could be in store in the playoffs. $36 in all for Cade Cunningham. Pistons put the Knicks to bed 115-106, coming back from 13 points down the third. Kenny Albert to call MSG. Knicks played shorthanded. They sat Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, and Mitchell Robinson. They missed out on a chance to clinch the 3 seed, still hold a magic number of 1 with 2 games remaining. Karl Anthony Towns, who led the Knicks with 25 points and 10 boards. Hawks dominate the Nets 133-109. Rangers awoke from their slumber, pound the Islanders 9-2. 1 round down at the Masters, Justin Rose 3-shot lead 7 under. Defending champ Scotty Scheffler 4 under. Fred Couples threw a throwback to clock effort, became the second oldest player to break par, shot a 1 under at the age of 65. And the Jets, they worked the contract for Alan Lazard, keeps him in the fold with a massive pay cut. Base salary went from $11 million to $2.25 million, while the Jets also avoid the final year of his deal and makes him a free agent at year's end. 42 degrees, cloudy skies, Central Park, and that's happening. I'm Marco Belletti.
The whole team on me. So you know I got it.
New Darren Waller.
Money well invested. They never see the rack talking.
Good morning. Good morning. Could never sacrifice the music for the Brandon. This is what he left the Giants to go do. That boy spitting like Flow Rider. He sounded like Flow Rider on the beat. Hey, yo. Shout out to Connor Green, who just clipped this up and cut out all the curse words. Darren Waller is rapping outside of Allegiant Stadium. And now you got to, hold on, let's cue that. Play whatever you have of the Kelsey Plum song. Whoa, whoa. Yeah. So Darren Waller, I'm sorry. I'm gonna run into Darren Waller one day and he's gonna be like, you think that's funny? I'm like, yes, bro. My bad. I'm a hip-hop guy, but like you don't make any songs about Kelsey Plum anymore ever again. And I'm confused because he's rapping outside of Allegiant Stadium, but I'm like, how many games did you play with the Raiders in Allegiant Stadium? I gotta look that up. Probably not many. That's their new building. They traded you what, 3 years ago? I don't know. I can't. I don't know. He said, the music and the Brandon. And, he said something. Every time I was on the field, they had the whole team on me. Yeah, so why don't you keep playing? Why don't you keep trying to? I don't know. 888-808-1019. It's a new day, April 11th. Now, less than 2 weeks until the NFL draft. Who will be the Giants player that they draft that has to make an impact this year? Who will be the Jets player that they draft that has to make an impact this year? No waiting in the wings, no developing. These teams have been struggling for too long. You take an impact player that can help you on the field, help you win now. Josh is in the Bronx. Josh, you're on the fan.
It's awesome, baby. But keep on telling you, man. Is it really going to be worthless because you still have Shane and Dable? I mean, like you said, man, I mean, you were spot on when you said about if they get another quarterback, that locker room is going to be pretty intense this year with the schedule and the difficulty and everything like that. You know it more than I do. It's awesome, baby. Take it away, Keith. Thank you.
Thanks for the call, Josh. It's funny, right? One and done with the offseason hard knocks for the Giants. They need hard knocks in the preseason. They would never do it, but like Jameis Winston, Russell Wilson, Tommy DeVito, just the quarterback room alone would be the camera that would be in the quarterback room would be hilarious with those three guys. Malik Neighbors, like if you thought Malik Neighbors had a personality and was flashy and was, I don't know, talk to Dabes. wait till you see him this year. I just saw him with CeeDee Lamb. I follow CeeDee Lamb on Instagram. CeeDee Lamb came to the city this week. He was kicking it with Malik Neighbors. Superstars. Spider-Man, Sexy Dexy, Deontay Banks. I don't know. Some of these new additions, Javon Holland. Let's talk about that. I did say that I liked the free agency class. And I think that they added players that can make an impact and they're going to help them win. I think immediately when we saw Paulson Adebo, I'm like, okay, just his size, pause, at corner, I think he's going to help. Deontay Banks better get his act together. That's another thing I said too. As soon as I saw Russell Wilson take 3 and Deontay Banks take 2, I'm like, oh, they're not drafting Shedeur Sanders. They need to sell jerseys. Shedeur Sanders taking that number 2. They are not drafting Shedeur. So they have brought in Roy Robertson Harris at defensive tackle. They bring back Darius Slayton, who I think Darius Slayton is a glue guy. He's glue from all these different years of the Giants. He got an award from the Giants media as like the guy that was the nicest player to interview. He already stuck his neck out to defend Shedeur Sanders when Andre Cisco, the new Jet, was saying, oh, we're breaking on that. You better stop tapping the ball. First off, bro, like you can't always even see the quarterback tapping the ball. You're 30 yards down the field. Like, what? So Darius Slayton is back, and they paid him more than they would have paid Saquon. James Hudson III at offensive tackle. Chris Board at linebacker. Javon Holland, you guys all remember him on Black Friday against the Jets with that return. That was epic. Maybe that's a selling point for him to come back to MetLife. Chauncey Golston from the Dallas Cowboys at defensive end. That's another reason why I'm like, do they need to take Abdul Carter, or is this a smokescreen? You have Brian Burns, you have Kayvon, you have Chauncey Golston. There's somebody else. I got to bring up the Giants roster, but it's like you draft positions of need. You try to fill. If you're picking 3rd overall, you look at your roster, you look at the biggest hole, and you take the best player. So like Abdul Carter to me, I think is a smokescreen so that whoever else in the draft needs an edge rusher calls Joe Shane and the Giants and says, yeah, we need this kid. Maybe it's the Eagles. Abdul Carter is an Eagles fan all the way. Was at the Super Bowl rooting on the Eagles, grew up an Eagles fan. The Eagles don't pick until the last pick. They won the Super Bowl. What would Philly be willing to give up? But I mean, it wouldn't be smart. It wouldn't be wise. It wouldn't be wise for the Giants to give Abdul Carter to the Philadelphia Eagles. And then whether it's Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston, they're getting crushed. 888-808-1019. But you draft the position of need and the best player available at that position. You don't need a quarterback. You have 3 quarterbacks. You have 3 quarterbacks that have all played, started games, and won games in the NFL in the last 2 years. Why add a rookie to that room? If you have to save your job, which, mark my words, like they are fighting for their lives. Joe Shane and Brian Daboll may never get to the position that they're in right now again in the NFL if they don't win this year. Think about that. Daboll may never get another head coaching opportunity. Shane most likely, like we've seen some coaches get fired and bounce back and whatever, but Shane most likely never gets to be the GM. So every move that he makes has to have urgency. There really can't be any long plays. Speaking of a long play, the Brooklyn Nets, I don't know why we're talking about them, but they've got some long plays here. Season's over. They weren't ready to play tonight. They're getting ready for the lottery. Maybe that lottery ball will bounce their way. Maybe it won't. My experience being a Nets fan, nothing goes the way that you actually want it. Jack is in Rockaway, Queens. Jack, tell the people that listen to the fan anything about the Brooklyn Nets.
All right, Q, this is my post-mortem, my autopsy of the season. I haven't been calling you much because there's not much to talk about in the Nets, but I'm totally disappointed because I'm going over Mark's career, and we glorify how he came in and he didn't have the picks, but then there's another side of that story. He came into a brand new arena with Brook Lopez in his prime and a lot of cap space, and he had picks every other year. You can't trade your picks every year, and he chose to give ridiculous restricted free agent contracts He took some shots on other free agents that didn't work out. And he could have done like a lot of teams that just use the cap space, accumulated picks. So, we did Joe Harris and Dinwiddie and all that. We keep talking about that. But at the end of the day, this is going on how many years? A decade? And the one playoff win series and the big three. And there's always an excuse. And, if you went to a restaurant or McDonald's and this was bad and the cook didn't do this and the cashier was hungover and this, at the end of the day, it's the manager's responsibility for everything. He had we had the big three, and I admit you to one now, and Kenny Addison and Jody Fernandez, three great coaches, and he picked the boss's son. He put a Nash in off the street with you had three head cases, and that didn't work out. I give him credit. He killed the Durant trade. He killed it on that trade, and he killed the Bridges trade. But that's really about it. And what my final straw was, I was so disappointed because when they traded Luka, I was mad because they traded Irving, Kyrie to Dallas instead of getting the two unprotected picks from the Lakers because they wanted to fight Kyrie. Right?
Yep.
They spited us. But then so then they traded the pick for we got one pick for Kyrie. We held on to Dorian Finney-Smith too long.
Yep.
And we held on to O'Neal too long. So because it was so important that we made the 8th seed to get or whatever seed we made and got crushed because we wanted to show that that everybody left us and we could still get crushed in the playoffs. So that was so important to make the playoffs. But then I was excited because they traded Doncic, and I was like, wow. Because I was so mad that they weren't picked to that. Like, you're taking the Dallas pick with a 25-year-old generational player, and instead of the Lakers who had these ancient picks. And I was like, oh, cool, we're going to get the Dallas pick. And then I looked, he threw that in too with the Houston trade. They have the ability to swap the lowest of the Dallas and the Phoenix pick. And now Phoenix is going to be a lottery team. So, which is fine. He made this thing on, I want to rebuild in these 2 years. And he goofed that too. You go all in or you don't. Cam Johnson is a nice player. I like him. He's everything. A wonderful player on an excellent team, right? He would be a wonderful player, a fourth option on a championship team, maybe even a third if you have but we didn't. You could have traded him. We had a tank this season. We have this season and next season. We traded everything else to get these two picks back. We gave up the Phoenix picks, the swaps, everything. So this year, instead of you have to be at the bottom three. You have to bottom four. They're all the same pick. Yeah, and instead you keep Cam Johnson. You could have had your best pick. You didn't get the two picks, so you take the best available. Kevin Huerter was available, some cap space, and the Sacramento #1 pick. To me, that's great. Or you Claxton, you could just give him away and get a low #1 pick. Then you got the tank this season. So now we're going to be sitting at 6, and probably what everyone's calling a 3-player draft, maybe a 4-player draft. So with all luck, we're going to probably get 8 or 9, and then we have the 2026, and that's it. After that, Houston's got up. It would have been better to stay back. And if you were committed to give up everything and go for the 25 and 26, these two picks back, you have to go all in. This isn't, and I'm looking around the league. Besides Washington, and they'll probably have a top player this year, we have nothing to build around. I mean, it's just I look at Charlotte. I'm like, wow, they got Ball, they got Miller, Bridges is a nice player. They got to have a top pick this year. We have what do we have?
We have a bunch of role players. We got to see some young guys play. Sean Marks has 9 lives. If we had a different owner, he would have been fired already. But the owner has no idea, so he's got to trust in Marks. In Marks, we trust, and he gets to.
I would like to do the Denver GM. We need a new voice. This is really.
No, they're giving him another opportunity to rebuild this team. He's safe, and we'll see what happens in the draft this year. I do not feel confident about that ball bouncing their way. Like you said, they might have the 8th pick. I just know for us as Nets fans, it never goes our way. Even a little bit of hope that we have, it disintegrates so quickly where it's just what's the use? So don't expect much. We're not getting Cooper Flagg. We're probably not getting Dylan Harper or Ace Bailey either. We're not going to be picking there. We're going to watch the ball's going to bounce and the rich are going to get richer. How stupid was it this year that we couldn't beat the Wizards. The Wizards, like, they didn't know how to tank. They lost games in the beginning of the season. Then they went on a rally where it's like, oh, they're competitive for what? And then when you get close enough to the play-in, then you start losing again. And they have injuries and they rest guys. And you've seen so many different randoms play for the Nets this year. It doesn't make sense. There was never any direction. Sean Marks seems to be the guy that just wakes up and goes to work and figures it out for the day and goes to sleep and has no idea what the next day is going to hold.
I know, man. Thanks for taking my call. I'll give you a call after the draft finally. Hopefully we got some good news. Thanks for taking my call. Hope your stomach's going well.
Thanks for the call, Jack. 888-808-1019. No more Nets calls. It's pointless. It's frustrating. It's stupid. I think the Nets have a future, but it's not until like 2028 or beyond. And so much has to happen, right, for them to be competitive again. Their future might not even be then. We'll see what happens with those Knicks picks down the road, right? Those eighth graders that people talk about as if they're like not like, come on, they're not in eighth grade. We'll see. 888-808-1019. Done talking about the NBA draft. The NFL draft is less than 2 weeks away. And it is very important for the Giants to hit on a player that can help them win this year. That also gets the fans excited and motivated and want to go see that player play. Malik Neighbors did that. That's why I was saying, anybody telling you, drafted Malik Neighbors, he didn't have a quarterback. You hit on the best receiver in the draft. That's a generational player. That's a guy that's not going anywhere. That's a guy that's going to dominate in the league for a long time. Now get him a quarterback. And what they decided to do was to sign 2 veteran quarterbacks and let those guys battle it out and hope that they stay healthy or whatever. I don't know. But I just think that Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston together is a lot. And there might even be some issues in the locker room because I think that locker room is going to take to Jameis Winston's personality more so than Russ. And the way that the contract is set up and the way that it is right now, like Russ is the starter. Let's go to Eli in New Jersey on the Fan. What's up, Eli? Yeah, the Giants have been in a hole for some years now. It's tough to watch them, and I don't know how they dig out of this hole. I don't think they have the right guys with the shovels. I think they got the wrong guys, and those guys have kept shoveling them deeper and deeper. Yeah, it's not even that. It is, but it's not just that. Their offense, right? When you watch their offense at times, it doesn't seem like the rest of the NFL where, these teams are able to score and move the ball. It starts with the quarterback play and the offensive line. They have 2 competent quarterbacks. If they can keep those guys upright, it's on Dable this year and Kafka too. And I don't think you'll see Dable calling the plays. I think he's going to give that up. That was a bright idea for last year. That wasn't so bright. They got to be able to score. And Shane Bowen, I would have fired Shane Bowen. If somebody's head's got to roll, right? Somebody's got to be held accountable. They didn't fire any of those guys. They fired the DB coach, safety coach. Like, I would have fired Shane Bowen. Get a different defensive coordinator. He's not Wink Martindale at all. Cheer up, kid. Cheer up, kid. The draft is coming. And that brings hope and energy and excitement. Dun, 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 dun. Like, you're going to see profiles on these players. The Giants are going to draft some players you've never heard of. They're going to draft some players you have heard of. And you're going to see these guys' height, weight, 40 time. You'll see their highlights. You'll hear interesting stories about them from high school or college. And you'll get the social media stuff of them getting the call and their family celebrating and them coming to New York or coming to East Rutherford, New Jersey. And then it starts. It starts the journey of, okay, everybody says that the Giants have the toughest strength of schedule. Everybody says that the Giants can't win. But it's their jobs to put together a team and coach up that team and have enough talent where they're able to compete. I've been saying this for weeks. The year that Brian Dable won Coach of the Year, he was coaching his ass off, but also Wink Martindale in that defense. Wink was coaching, and that defense was keeping the game close. And when you have a running back like Saquon Barkley, you can control the clock, time of possession. You can move the chains. You can get a first down. You can win in short yardage. You can go for 2. And Daniel Jones running the ball that year too. Unaccounted for. It's an extra guy. Okay? You go through your reads, check one, check two. First read, second read's not there, take off. And that was enough with Richie James. They were throwing the ball to Richie James that year. Who else was like I forget who else was a wide receiver. What was the white boy from West Virginia? Sills. He was only short-lived. Kenny, not was it? I forget his name. Kevin David Sills. Remember him for a little while? Let's see. I remember doing the show with Kim Jones, and every week we would talk to Giants fans on Thursdays. Sometimes we would have a Giant join us, and every week Giants fans would call, "Oh, they're going to lose. They're not going to be able to beat this team." And yeah, what's the use? And Kim Jones and I would try to talk them up and be like, well, you never know. Like, they make some plays here, and they did make some plays, and they did figure it out, and they did win some games. That's the formula again. And back then they were saying, the roster was bare. The cupboard was dry. They had no talent. They had nobody. And they were able to figure it out that year to steal some games and get into the playoffs. Well, here we go again. They're going to be underestimated. They're going to be looked at as lesser than. If they can run the ball, I'd draft another running back. I would draft another running back. There's some good running backs in this class. I'm not saying draft one high, but I'd draft another running back that's a different type of style. Like, you hit on Tyrone Tracy, a kid that was playing wide receiver and just becoming a running back. I get a bruiser. I'd get a big body running back. I got to take a look at some of the running backs in the later rounds. I'd get a bruiser. I'd get a short yardage back. And Brian Dable, you're supposed to be a quarterback whisperer. You should be able to get the best out of Russell Wilson, who has been around for so long, has been in all these different types of systems, and is a positive guy, rah-rah guy, a visualization guy, and even Jameis Winston, right? You should be able to get his turnovers down, where I think Jameis could beat him out. If Jameis isn't turning the ball over, he's younger. I think the players are going to take to him more, his personality. I think Malik Neighbors is going to like the ball that he throws more than Russell. That offense in Pittsburgh sank with Arthur Smith and Russell Wilson at the helm. If Brian Dable's going to have to win another Coach of the Year award this year to save his job. Chris is in Bergen County on the Fan. What up, Coach?
What's going on, Keith? How we doing tonight?
Hanging in there, starting to transition into the more of the Giants, and then we'll get the Jets and talk draft as we're getting closer here. Nobody knows what's going to happen.
I hear you. Hey, let me go through just a couple numbers for you, okay? Offensive ranking numbers. You ready?
Yep.
2009, 31st. 2010, 31st. Those are the Browns. 2011, Miami, 22nd. 2012, Kansas City, 23rd. 2018, Bills, 30th.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Okay, so this is the OC, the whisperer that you hired to be your head coach, who's tied to Eric Mangini. How did that all work out for them, for everybody involved with him? He's won with Tua at Bama. Other than that, yeah, he's been an assistant on a couple good teams.
I could have won with Tua at Bama.
He developed one quarterback, supposedly.
I can't keep giving him credit for that. Josh Allen just won the MVP without him. We always want to give him credit for Josh Allen. He helped Josh Allen for sure, but Josh Allen was always going to be Josh Allen.
He helped. He did not develop. He helped. That's it.
And the whole thing, Coach, he was supposed to come here and make Daniel Jones the next Josh Allen.
Listen, he was kind of on that road, until he went and got, he blew the knee out and the neck. Other than that, yeah, that derailed him big time. But yeah, I don't see where they brought these guys back to do this, to bring in Jameis and Russ. Listen, I'm impartial to Jameis because I'm an FSU fan, but
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. I love that season. I'm a Florida State fan too growing up. That was a great run. Jimbo Fisher.
I'm gonna give you one other stat, okay? Negative 50 yards rushing. Do you want to know who that was last year?
Yeah, I remember the game.
No. For the season. For the season, negative 50 yards rushing. Want to know who it was?
Negative 50. Oh, Shador.
50
No,
yards.
wasn't there a game?
He takes so many sacks, and he's immobile.
There was a game last year where Daniel Jones had like negative yards in the first half. I gotta go look.
Yeah. It was like 4 or 5.
I gotta go find it now. It was an odd stat. I remember listening to Bob Papa and Carl Banks, and they were just like the way that they were describing the first half stats. It's like, how does this happen? I think he completed some passes, but for no yardage.
One other thing out of the blue, David Sills was a quarterback out of Eastern Christian Academy in Maryland.
We had him up here back in the day.
He was brutal.
Yeah, Daniel Jones throws for 0.5 yards as the Giants lean on run. That was against the Commanders. Was that the game that the Commanders kicked the hell out of the ball? All they did was kick field goals to win it? Or was that the second game? There was some weird games last year.
I think that was the first game.
Remember they didn't score a touchdown. Yes. The Giants.
Yeah, it was all kicked.
It was all field goals. It was the field goal game.
It can't happen. Can't have that.
Absolutely brutal.
But yeah, Brian Dable, here you go. Brian Dable is he's supposed to be this offensive guru, and I've heard him talk it. He can talk the X's and O's. He knows what he's talking about, but talk is cheap. You got to execute. Now you have 2 NFL caliber quarterbacks. You have a number 1 wide receiver. Let's see what they add. Let's see if they get this offense right, this offensive line right. Now they have to score points. In this NFL, which is all gambling and parlays and fantasy points, and everybody, it seems, it doesn't matter who's playing, can score 3 touchdowns, can score at least 20 points. They got to be able to score points.
Got to be able to do it.
Thanks for the call, Coach. 888-808-1019. Yeah, I'm going back. And like AI is like, in the first half of a game against the Washington Commanders, New York Giants quarterback Daniel Jones had 0 passing yards, making him the first player since at least 1978 to throw a touchdown and a half while recording 0 passing yards. The Giants, however, leaned on their rushing attack. With Jones also fumbling the ball, the Commanders built a 21-7 lead. The Bummanders, that's what Gilly the Kid calls the Commanders, the Bummanders. They're not bums, though. They made it to the NFC Championship. They got Deebo Samuel now, and they're looking to draft a running back. That's another thing, too. Your division is going to get better. They're already good. The Dallas Cowboys will not have Cooper Rush out there. The Eagles are still the Eagles. I think the Commanders are going to be the Commanders. They'll probably be a little bit better than they were last year. They lost some games last year. Like, the road to winning and finding wins starts with the teams that you play twice. You got to be able to at least split with those teams, and I don't see them splitting with those teams. That's 6 losses right there. 888-808-1019. We'll talk Jets when we come back. I'm still on Tyler Warren. It was good today to hear Evan leaning into Tyler Warren. I think the more that we talk about Tyler Warren, the more it becomes a reality for the Jets to take him at number 7 overall. We'll talk more about it when we come back. Keith McPherson on the Fan. Dial 888-808-1019 and join the show. BRB. All right, let me hit the chat. I seen Bongwater Brad was going in. Let me see. Josh, what's up, Keith? How you been? blessed and highly favored. Thank you for pulling up to watch the live stream of my nightly radio show in New York City on the Fan KM to AM. Appreciate you, Josh. Pam, get your rest. If I didn't have to do this job, I would be asleep. There are no human beings that I would stay up to watch or listen to. Appreciate you. JT snatch y'all confidence and have Mikal fumbling the rock, sweaty palms. Team don't even believe in themselves no more. I'm guessing this is a Celtics fan who must think I'm a Knicks fan. John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. His name is my name too. That's what I call John Michael Schmidt. At some point, the Giants organization needs to look inwards at development and scouting and clean house. Talent is being drafted, but the development is lacking. I just think that, like, they're a mess, and players know that. And, like getting rid of good players that Dave Gettleman drafted, players know that too. They know who the alphas are in the room. They know who the dogs are in the room. And when you let those guys go and bring in some pups, some poodles, the difference is obvious. It's plain to see. They got young Joker up out of there quick. That was a Darren Waller trade, right? We need Darren Waller and Jello. Wow, you might have just did something. You might have just did something. Darren Waller featuring Jello would be tough. Is Josh being held hostage? Josh from the Bronx? No, he always talks like that. I hope the Giants draft Travis Hunter or Carter. I think that's what they're selling us on, but they might trade out of the pick. Somebody's going to want Travis Hunter. Somebody's going to want Abdul Carter. See what you can get. Keith is a Cowboys fan. Unfortunately, you are correct. Pat, do we have a football in here? I need to start bringing a football in. When you pat the ball, like let's say it's a football, right? When you pat the ball, green 18, set up. When you get back here and you have the ball and you're going through your progressions and you're moving your feet, all the pat is just a, right? So if this is the football, what I was always taught was that ball has to come back. No matter what, that ball has to come back in your throwing motion, right? Don't push the ball like Phillip Rivers. That ball's got to come. So when you're here, all the pat is, boom, it's just a trigger. It's just a trigger. So that pat on the balls, and it's not multiple pats. It's here. It's just a way to get the ball, push the ball back so you get that torque on it. Welcome to Gruden's QB class. Facts, Keith. Yeah, big facts. I wasn't great, but I was good enough to get out of the hood, go to college, get a degree, and be on the radio in New York with that said degree. This schedule is tough this season coming up. Of course it is. Does being a Giant mean something anymore? I don't think so. Right? All that Giants pride, once a Giant, always a Giant. I don't think so. Jameis doesn't take sacks and is happy chucking the ball around. Russ is the polar opposite, holds on to the ball if his first. Yeah, they're completely different kind of guys. Is it like being in pinstripes? Hell no. Nope. The Yankees won a World Series last year. Judge is on the team. Like, way different. Let's see what Albert Breer was talking about with Tyler Warren. What'd you say? I'll tease it. We'll do it at the 1 o'clock break, I think. You already know who it is. The Dark Nighttime host. Keith McPherson on the Fan, hanging out, talking to people in the chat. Hello, everybody in the chat. Some good conversation comes from the chat. You know, I brought back the Big Shot of the Night segment. I also have taken the Tell Me Something Cool segment from the Yankee pregame show and made it a part of my show. Another thing that I want to make consistently a part of my show is things from the chat. You know, I think that's just what I'm going to call it. Things from the chat. People online, you know, throwing things out from the chat. And, you know, someone said, does being a Giant mean something? You know, that once a Giant, always a Giant, that Giant's pride. I don't think it has the same glow at all. You know what would have preserved that? Saquon Barkley, who was adamant about wanting to be here. This is where I want to be. They know this is where I wanted to be. And I don't know how many rants I went on about how if that man tells you this is where he wants to be, you grant his wish. You worry about the other stuff later. You don't worry about his legacy. You don't worry about getting him. Oh, you want to be a Giant? Like what I was saying in the chat as well about the Giants, and we're going to get into the Jets more, but this is a way to transition into what I was going to say about the Jets. 888-808-1019. Football players know who the alphas are. There is levels to every level of football, right? How they talk about Hall of Famers, they say there should be tiers and different levels in the Hall of Fame. Every football team knows who the top dogs are. And I feel like the Giants moving on from Gettleman drafted guys just to move on from a few of them, obviously not all of them. Andrew Thomas, Dexter Lawrence, they paid Daniel Jones, but they move on from Julian Love, and we'll keep going through this list. Julian Love, Evan Ingram, Leo Williams, Xavier McKinney, Sterling Shepard, Saquon Barkley. When you lose those guys in your locker room and you don't immediately replace them with talented guys, with guys that can lead and guys that are, I'm talking about the guys that are the strongest guys in the weight room. I'm talking about the guys that are the toughest guys on the field. I'm talking about the guys that show up early and stay late and just naturally have it. And like I hear Tiki Barber talking about it. If you don't have the like hunger to be great, the want to be great, you won't be great. I didn't have the hunger to be great when I was playing college football. I just was happy to be in college for free and be around. You feel me? Like just to be a scholarship athlete. And when I mean be around, not be around the team, be around the girls, be around campus, be away from home, be away from the apartment that I grew up in. But I did have some teammates that were like all in. This is it for me. I'm not studying anything. I'm not smart like you. I can't talk like you. I'm football. It's all in, nothing or else. But like what I'm saying is you on football teams in that locker room, in the weight room, on that practice field, we all know who is who and what is what. And I feel like the Giants took away so many guys that were alpha dogs and they weren't able to replace them. So when Bongwater Brad in the chat says, does being a Giant mean something anymore? Like they are trying to redefine what it means. Dexter Lawrence is tired of losing. Malik Neighbors is here saying, go ask the coach. I'm tired of losing. I just got here. They need to find some Giants pride. They need to win now. It's been long enough. 888-808-1019. You need to find some dudes. You need to find some leaders. You need to find the type of guys that walk in the building, and they're the type of guys that you want to be first off the bus. Tyler Warren is one of those guys. Go Google Tyler Warren. I am full on the propaganda of Tyler Warren. I was happy to hear Evan open up the show today and say that he did a deep dive and looked at Tyler Warren film. I haven't done that. I watched a handful of Penn State games. I watched him in that bowl game, and you don't need to see much film on Tyler Warren to see that. He is a man. Almost 6'6", 260. He's going to come into the Jets building and be ready to go day one. He's going to come into the Jets building with like, I did my Tell Me Something Cool 2 nights ago, I think. And what I did with my Tell Me Something Cool was say, you know, his dad told him to wear 44 like John Riggins. And when you get the ball, you run like John Riggins. This guy had played quarterback in high school. It's funny too, because that happens a lot at Penn State. They draft these guys that are tall and play quarterback. When I was coming up, I played against a kid named Brett Brackett. Brett Brackett played at I can't remember Brett Brackett's school. Somebody listening probably knows that went to school with Brett Brackett. I'm Googling him now. Brett Brackett went to Lawrence High School. We beat them in the second round of the playoffs. And then I saw Brett again in the Governor's Bowl All-Star game. He was playing quarterback, but he was going to Penn State to be a tight end. And he played at Penn State at tight end, and then he went on to the NFL because he was, 6'5", like Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren is a guy that has, filled out. He went there and he really became. He was a 3-star recruit. He really became with the Nittany Lions. I talked about Olu Fashanu and how they drafted him out of Penn State last year. These two guys know each other. They have a rapport. They'll probably hit it off and be best friends with the Jets. After passing on Brock Bowers last year, why not go get the top prospect at that position this year? I know there's going to be an emphasis on running the ball. I joked with somebody online as we learned about Allen Lazard taking less money to stay. Allen Lazard is a blocking receiver. He's been in the end zone more than Josh Reynolds. He's been in the end zone more than Malachi Corley, who cost himself a touchdown, but celebrating too soon. The fact that Allen Lazard wants to stay here, take less money, knowing that you got 4 running backs. Justin Fields, who can still throw the ball, but he's going to run. Justin Fields, Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, Isaiah Davis. You think that they might want to draft Amon Membu to be the bookend right tackle across from Olu Fashanu, but that's not going to get the people going. Your first pick of the new regime, you can get a tackle in the later rounds. You can get a tight end in the later rounds, but not of the likes of Tyler Warren. 888-808-1019. I think the Jets got to take this kid if someone doesn't take him before they get to him. Oh, I'm a Jets fan. I had a Jets draft question or a Jets draft call, but it gets late. Takes too long. I can't get to him. Hell, I'll keep going. I got plenty. There's going to be other tackles that you can take in the draft, later in the draft. I think you need a sexy pick. I think Justin Fields needs the safety blanket of a big target like this guy. We know who your number 1 receiver is with Garrett Wilson. We know who your number 2 receiver is with Allen Lazard. You get Tyler Warren. He comes in there day one. He's an ox. You get him. He can stay in certain formations and block. He can also go out there and help the offense. The spotlight's not going to be too big for him. He's big man on campus at Penn State. And you want to hit on a guy, right? I see some mock drafts have Teteroa McMillan, and I like him. I like how he profiles. I think he's going to be like a faster Mike Evans, but he's coming from Arizona. It doesn't always work with those West Coast guys coming over here. I just think I think Tyler Warren is a foolproof. They never seem to draft and land a top tight end. And I understand you have Yeboah and Ruckert and even Stone Smart from the Chargers who they drafted. So what? You're going to run 2 tight end sets? None of those guys are Tyler Warren. And if he comes here and wears that 44, that'd be so tough. Anyway, 888-808-1019. I think I've said enough to get some Jets fans on the line. Tell me who you want. And I don't want to hear the pessimistic Jets fan. I heard someone call into Evan and Tiki's show and say, oh, we draft him, he's Kyle Brady. The Patriots draft him, he's Rob Gronkowski. Well, he's already been compared to Gronk, George Kittle. And in this modern day NFL, you need a tight end like that. Look at Brock Bowers last year. Look at the Eagles, who they didn't have Dallas Goedert. They had, who was their backup tight end that filled in and was making moves for the Eagles last year? And I'm like, they're just so deep. I think I might have picked him up in fantasy for 1 week. Grant Calcaterra. I don't think I pronounced the name right. Grant Calcaterra. Grant Calcaterra. You need a tight end. You need a tight end because you could throw a little 5-10 yard pass to that tight end, and then he can do the rest. I think the Jets got to take this kid at tight end. And I know, for another example, as the calls are lining up, 888-808-1019, like coming from Detroit's offense and how they use Sam Laporta, like there are some times where Sam Laporta is wide open in the end zone. There are times where Sam Laporta has 2 touchdown days. This kid's better than Sam Laporta. And there was a caller that talked about the Jets coaching staff. And if you know anything about Ben Johnson started off as a tight end coach. And now Tanner Engstrom, the offensive coordinator for the Jets, I believe once Ben Johnson became the offensive coordinator, Tanner Engstrom took over with the tight ends. So that caller made great points. And Tiki was like, you're spot on. Like, you draft this kid who's already a boss at tight end, he's coming into a situation where he's going to be coached up right. This is not the old regime. This is not Rob Saleh. This is not Joe Douglas. They draft this kid. He is going to fit the culture. He's going to get the fans excited. He's going to be somebody that can score touchdowns, that can knock guys on their ass, that can block, that can help Justin Fields and help this offense. 888-808-1019. Mark is in Manhattan on the Fan. Go for it, Mark.
All right, let me just say this, okay? All right, I want to be fair. Okay, I jumped in midway, so I wasn't really sure about what you said as far as were you for the Giants picking Shador if the opportunity came or not. I'm not really sure.
I am no longer with drafting Shador Sanders after you signed 2 veteran quarterbacks that started games and won games in the NFL last year.
Okay, I understand that, and I respect that. And I'm not going to make this long-winded, okay? Let me just get right to it, okay? I didn't like those choices either, you know what I mean? Both of those guys are pretty much on their way out. Jameis he's going to be a career. We know what Jameis is. Russell, he's on his last leg. And for the money, it was just all about the money, and these are stopgaps. These are quick stopgaps. And so as far as Shador is concerned, I keep hearing, oh, he takes too many hits. Oh, he doesn't move that well. I mean, come on. What I'm not hearing consistently, Keith, is that he has no O-line.
Right.
For the whole time, he was, come on.
Yeah, so let's talk about it. I watched at least 5 of his games last year.
Yeah. I mean,
Chris in Bergen County just called and said that he had negative 50 yards rushing. How do you get negative 50 yards rushing? You're taking sacks. You're taking a lot of sacks. He was always running for his life. Dion was not able. Dion was able to recruit skill position players. He was not able in 2 years to get the top offensive lineman. Even his left tackle was a freshman. So like you just like that game against Nebraska. I'm like, oh hell no. Nah. There's no way they're not stopping these big corn-fed country boys from Nebraska up front. He was running for his life. Even in the game against BYU, people held it against him. He took a hit where he got his bell rung. And even his dad's like, are you all right? But he stayed in the game, but he might have been semi-concussed. He was always looking for green grass. He was always running and spinning out of the pocket, trying to hold onto the ball, find green grass, set his feet, and throw it downfield to Horn or to Hunter or whoever.
That's right. And what you don't hear, this is my last thing I'm going to say. The scouting report on Daniel Jones before he came to the Giants, and we all knew it, everybody knew it, is that he's injury prone and he throws it to the other side. What you don't hear about Shador is this. He doesn't get hurt.
He's tough. He's tough.
Ball away. He doesn't get the ball away. He doesn't make any interceptions, if any.
He's accurate.
You know what I mean?
He's very accurate.
No, I'm not saying he's perfect, but give the kid a chance. What are we doing here? We're starting over anyway.
You should have fired these guys because if you had a new head coach, new GM here, they would say, yeah, we can work with Dion's kid. We'll take him at 3.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't assign two journeyman quarterbacks that are really on their way out of the league.
On their way out. That's all I got, man. Thanks, Keith.
Thanks for the call, Mark. I was on board with Shador. From him showing up to New York during the Heisman, and throwing with Malik Neighbors in the streets of New York, to going to Nike in the middle of Manhattan or lower Manhattan and getting those uptowns. He got all white Nikes, Air Force Ones, and he put red and blue laces in them. Wink, wink. Like on top of the cleats. He never wore them on the field. I don't know how many times I heard hosts on the fan say, "Oh, well, he wore cleats in the game." He couldn't wear those cleats in the game. And if you watched him play, he always had cleats that matched the uniform, black and white, black and gold, white and gold. He never wore those. Dion said they got a bunch of colorways of those Nike DT trainers. Those are Dion shoes. But when they were getting ready for the bowl game, somebody took a picture of his locker and it had those Giants cleats. I think the Giants went out there all season to scout him. I know they did, because I can think of at least twice that I saw the assistant GM, Brandon Brown, and Shane out there to watch them. But I just think circumstances changed. And I think these guys are on such a hot seat that they're like, we cannot draft a quarterback at 3. They went out. They wanted Matthew Stafford. They tried to get Stafford. They tried to get Aaron Rodgers. They ended up with not Stafford or Rodgers. They wanted to get Hall of Fame Super Bowl caliber quarterbacks. Well, they got one. They got Russ. And like, honestly, when they got Russ, I'm like, why do you need Russ? You got Jameis. I would have been down with the program if it was get Jameis, draft Shador, and when Jameis throws pick sixes and you're not winning, you can throw Shador in there in week 10. 888-808-1019. But that is off the table now. They've already telegraphed them. I will be surprised. I'm sure I will be on. I will be so surprised if they add Shador Sanders to this run. He still would like to come to New York. I know his dad would like him to come to New York. There was a video that floated out about, Dion talking about all that pregame prayer is going to be off the chain with Jameis Winston and Russell. They're devout Christians, and they're very open about their religion and their spirituality and their belief. I don't know. I don't think they're taking Shador Sanders at 3. 888-808-1019. Take the best available. They need to win. And I think that's where their focus shifted. And it's funny, right? Like, did they tell John Mara, hey, we're going to get a veteran quarterback in here? There was all this talk about, Shane talked about taking swings at the quarterback position. Maybe they'll draft a quarterback in this draft, a young quarterback in this draft, not at number 3, maybe later. Maybe if they trade back in this draft and Shador Sanders falls, then they got to take him. If they trade back from 3 because, I don't know, the 49ers want Abdul Carter or something, maybe. I just don't think that they're staying put and taking Shador Sanders. It doesn't make any damn sense. You're taking the number 3 overall pick for a third string player when there are players that you can draft there that can be first string and make an impact week 1, and you're fighting for your NFL lives. You need to win. So it's not about projects. If you wanted to draft a project, if you wanted to draft and develop a quarterback, you should have done it last year or the year before. 888-808-1019. We're about to be up against this break here. I see some calls for the Knicks and the Rangers and the Jets and the Giants. In this last hour, we'll get it all in. And the next segment that I'm going to bring to the table is Tell Me Something Cool. And, I've already told you some cool things, but when we come back in the 1 o'clock hour, if you're on hold, stay on hold. If you want to join the show, it's wide open for calls. I've only got 2 calls, and we'll do Tell Me Something Cool. We'll continue to hit the conversation around the Knicks. I'm in here watching the Rangers. They're up 5-0. They really had a barn burner over there at UBS. So we'll talk about that. We'll continue to talk about the draft, and I will bring in some other things from my notes that we haven't spoken on yet. This is Keep McPherson on the Fan. Stay with me till 2 a.m. I'll be right back. All right, let me see.
on policeofficersrighttosue.com and provides successful results in varying line-of-duty accident cases. These results include damages recovered from RMP accidents involving the City of New York and civilian motorists, station house defects, ricochet injuries from the range, private premises slip and falls, sidewalk slip and falls, construction defects, snow and ice cases, and injuries emanating from defective RMPs. In any LOD accident, it is important for the officer to take photographs of any defects, injuries, or damage. It is also essential to draft a line-of-duty report and detail the cause of the accident in the paperwork. Remember, there's a 90-day time limitation to file a claim against the municipality. If any law enforcement member has a question regarding a potential lawsuit, contact Decolator Cohen and DeBrisco LLP at policeofficersrighttosue.com.
Where is there? There was an article that I wanted to pull up from the Masters.
Would you seat your 3-year-old child on a windowsill? Would you seat them beside a lit fireplace or by the
Let me see if I can go to USA Today Sports and find it.
Would you seat your child in a car seat that's not correct for them? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Secure their future. Seat them in the correct car seat. For more information, visit safeforcar.gov/the-right-seat. Sponsored by the New York State Governor's Traffic Safety Committee. This is John D'Agostino, D'Agostino & Associates, the injury firm. Accident victims, I understand how an accident can turn your world upside down. You're in pain. You need medical care. You can't work. You're struggling to pay your bills. You don't have a clue what your rights are. So what do? Call the first law firm that pops up on the internet? Look at the best website? Or say, hey, find me a lawyer. The options are endless. The answers are simple. Ask around. Read reviews. Got great law firms and build great reputations. I built D'Agostino & Associates. Right in for accident victims just like you. Our clients know my team is a fight every dollar you deserve. So call me today at 888.
Okay, I got it. I'm not much of a golf guy. I am forced to get on the course this year because I've already been invited to a couple of golf outings. I respect the game. I think it's super hard. I've taken some swings, but I'm not gonna hold you. I'm definitely nervous about the whole I'm not nervous about how I play. I don't care about sucking at like a sport and like figuring it out. What I'm nervous about is like being such a novice with guys that are used to it and like not being able to keep the pace or not like just being so much of a rookie that I mess up the game. Like, you know, when you play pickup basketball, there's like a certain level of basketball where it's like, yo, no young guys in this game, or like your little brother can't play in this game. We're really hooping. Like, I don't want to be the guy on the golf course that can't really hoop, if that makes any sense. That's my fear, that I'm going to get out there and they're going to be like, come on, man, put the ball on the tee, hit it. You don't know what to do. And I'm like, chill, give me a second. So my tell me something cool is going to be Masters related. And then I'll get into my conversation around being forced to, like, my high school football team is doing like a charity golf outing. The head coach called me. They like want me to be involved in that. This is going to be my 3rd year at David Cohn's golf outing. The first year I just like rode around in the cart and like, you know, help people like get like beers or food or ran in, like, you know, did that. The second year it rained, so I dodged the bullet there. This year they're all like, nah, you're playing. We're putting you in a group and you're playing. I'm like, all right, well, I got to figure it out. I've gone to Hudson Golf in Harlem and swung on the not Harlem, in Hoboken. Big difference. I've swung on the simulator there. That's it. I don't have any clubs. You guys will hear it. I don't have to tell you right now because I'll talk about it on there. Yeah, we'll hit the out-of-town scoreboard in a few minutes. The Braves win.
Ethos.com/save. That's ethos.com/save.
Good morning at 1 o'clock. I'm Marco Belletti, and this report is brought to you by police officers right to sue.com. Knicks missed a chance to secure the 3 seed in the East, let a 13-point second-half lead slip away to the Pistons, 115-106. Very likely the first-round matchup for the Knicks as they got a good dose of Cade Cunningham, who reported 36. Knicks were -3 big pieces. Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, Mitchell Robinson, they all sat this one out. Knicks just 2 games left, need either 1 win or a Pacers loss to wrap up that 3 spot in the East. Hawks dismantled the Nets 133-109. Too little, too late for the Rangers in all likelihood. Stave off elimination, at least for one day, as they rock the Islanders 9-2. Justin Rose, your leader after 1 run of the Masters, 7 under, good for a 3-shot advantage on defending champion Scotty Scheffler and 2 others. And if they're trying to find a trade partner with no luck, Alan Lazard decided to take a massive pay cut to remain with the Jets and drop his base salary $11 million to just $2.25 million. Jets also avoid the final year of his deal that makes him a free agent at the end of the season. 42 degrees, clear skies, Central Park. That's what's happening. I'm Marco Belletti.
Hey, John. I don't know if you're into golf, but I'm becoming more of a golf guy by the day. Never really was into it. I had some homies that were on the Monmouth University golf team, and they always would be watching the Golf Channel and talking golf and playing golf. That was probably the closest I ever got to it. But the Masters is going on, and there's some cool things happening with that caught my attention. The first, one of the baseball players that got me into baseball, Hall of Famer, the kid, Ken Griffey Jr., he's working at the Masters as a credentialed photographer. Ken Griffey Jr. is there shooting flicks. He's got the big camera. He's there. And, as I was looking at stuff today for this Tell Me Something Cool, I saw something really cool. And I want to go to more environments like this. There is a rule at the Masters where you got to leave your phone in the car. You got to leave your phone outside of the green. There's a rule, no phones are allowed. And someone captured a picture today, and it's amazing. You just see everybody with their hats and their glasses, but their eyes focused on the swing. Not one iPhone in the air, not one head looking down at the phone, no one scrolling, just everybody locked in on the event. I think we got to figure out how to have more things like that. That's super cool. What else did I find that was cool? Oh, I wasn't even familiar with this guy. Fred Couples, making his 40th Masters appearance. Yahoo Sports writes, he gave them plenty to cheer about Thursday at Augusta National. The 65-year-old posted 1 under 71, becoming the second oldest player in tournament history to shoot under par. And I found a video on Twitter of this guy, Fred Couples, shooting one into a hole from 191 yards out. He eagles on number 14. The clip has 2 million views. So tell me something cool. There's also a video that Front Office Sports put out, Golf Digest put out, of the number of private jets that landed at the Augusta airport for the Masters. A ton of them. Like the money and the attention and the status of this tournament is amazing. I hope to go one day. I hope to get into golf one day, and I'll get into where I am in the golfing. I was just telling the folks in the chat. I've gone to Hudson Golf in Hoboken twice. Shout out to my wife. She got me a birthday gift last year and a Father's Day gift last year of just like, I don't know, money to spend there, classes. I started off with classes, and then I went there again. They have food there. They have beers there, and they have simulators there where you can just go and hit as many balls as you want during your hour, 2 hours. So that's the most that I've done. But now I have to take the next step as it's getting warmer out. The head coach at my high school called me the other day. Hey, we want you to play in the, charity golf tournament. I said, all right, I got you. I'll be there. My good pal, David Cohn, this is the 3rd year I'll be involved with the David Cohn charity softball outing. And the first year I just hung out in the golf cart. Guys like Mark Malusis and John Jastrzemski and CeeLo, Sweeney Murdy from WFAN were all there. Those guys were swinging away. They were playing. I just was riding around in the golf court. I was playing Mario Kart. I was just, doing laps. And then the second year it rained, so I dodged one last year. But last year I did get my golf bag. Shout out to Casamigos who sent the golf bag. I did buy some Nike golf shoes. I have a couple shirts. I'm ready to go. I don't have any clubs yet. I have two fears. One, that I'll just, be too much of a novice, of a rookie out there, and I'll mess up the game for others. I don't want to mess up the flow. I don't want to mess up the time for anybody else. I just want, I want to be able to put the ball down, hit the ball, and act like I've done it before. I was just using the analogy in the chat about when you go hoop, when you play pickup basketball, there's sometimes when it's grown men only, no kids on the court. Your little brother can't play. No kids in this game. This is 5-on-5. This is grown men only because there's a certain level of competition. I don't want to be the little brother on the golf course. And then my other fear is that I'm just going to get so obsessed with being good that I want to play all the time. I don't have the time to go to the golf course. I don't have the time to play all the time. Shout out to my guy, Lee, who has been, he set me up with tee times where I'm like, I can't make it, bro. I do the radio show every night till 2 a.m. I don't go to sleep until 3:34 most nights. I can't bring myself to go to sleep till 4 a.m. most nights. I can't make your 7 a.m. tee time. I can't make your 1 o'clock tee time. But I'm about to start making it. So looking forward to getting into the golf now. It's been 3 years in the making, and I'm sure I'll have some updates for you as I start swinging and playing. But yeah, there's my tell me something cool. Back to the phones we go. Justin in Floral Park on the Fan. Welcome back, Justin. Happy Friday. Didn't even realize it is Friday, and it's payday too. Let's go. He loves it, though. He's always out there.
Tonight, man, they got more lives than a cat, Keith. The fact that they're still alive, as terrible as the season's been, and I'm telling you, I'm looking at Montreal's schedule, Keith. And if I get to Saturday, they lose back-to-back games, 6 points out with 3 games to play,
the chances, Keith. So let's go Canadian. Let's go Maple Leafs.
Let's go Senators. Take care of the Canadians this week, tomorrow and Saturday, and let the Rangers have another life. Keith, as far as the Knicks go, let me tell you something, Keith. I know the Knicks were playing some of their guys, but this is what it's going to look like when they play the Pistons. No one, and I repeat, no one is going to stop Kate Cunningham. And that is why the Knicks will be out in the first round.
OG. They got to put OG on him.
Please, OG. How do you look guarding Tatum in clutch time?
Yeah, you just got to slow him down. You can't stop him. There's no Kobe stopper, right? You just got to slow him down.
I'm telling you, they're not going to beat the Pistons. I'm telling you right now. I know the Pistons don't have the experience, but I'm telling you, I just don't think Brunson.
They have to beat them. I think they'll beat the Pistons. They have to.
But I'm telling you, the young, scrappy team that doesn't know any better, Keith, I'm telling you, if they steal a game at the Garden, I can see them losing in 6 games, man. I really can. And listen, I'm a diehard Knicks fan, but I just don't think – I think the writing's on the wall, Keith. I really don't think this is their year. And obviously, they're not beating Boston, so let's forget that. Now, one last thing on the Yanks. Love what Freed did the other night. That's a gamer right there. That's the guy that stopped the bleeding. And listen, I'm not getting crazy with Devin Williams. He's coming off a major injury last year. Okay, I got to give him until at least Memorial Day, until I'm turning it over to Weaver. Let's give this guy the job at least, man. Let's give this guy a chance. Man, he's had 2 tough outings, but let's keep it. Let's have Williams still be the closer here, man. Some of these Yankee fans are going crazy.
Yeah. They're the worst. Yeah. It's just we didn't acquire this guy to quit on this guy. Thanks for the call. Thanks for the call, Justin. Sorry to cut you there. I didn't even bother talking about Devin Williams because I did it last night. But more has come out. Shout out to my guy Gabe, who does some Instagram stuff on his Instagram account, The Playbook, where he was breaking down Devin Williams' ERA and that, like, Devin Williams always starts off slow. That he always has a lower ERA in the beginning of the season. Let me see if I can pull it up. I can't play it, but I think people just need something to yell about, be mad about. Says, Devin Williams never starts the season off well. If you look at his ERA in March and April, he has a 3.86 ERA, and even in May, it's not that great with a 2.51. So, like, this is nothing new. And, like, I played the cut last night from Devin Williams where he said he needs to get into a rhythm. And people are like, they're like mad at him for that. Oh, how are you not in a rhythm? How are you not in a rhythm? I'll give you 3 reasons. He did not pitch that much in his first spring training because they want to throw him into the situations that simulate the situation he's going to be in. High leverage situations where you got to get 3 outs. He didn't make that many appearances in his first spring training. You can't simulate that in all of these games. Then his regular season work was interrupted from the birth of his first son. My first son will be 2 on Sunday. Greatest thing that ever happened to me. I know where I was, and I know even how I was out. I was out for a while, where people were even saying I was out for a while. And I'm like, mind your business. I got to hold it down for my wife and my son. I don't have a deep family. I don't have a bunch of people around here. Let me be the man and do what I got to do, because you know what? My family is forever. Jobs are temporary. Devin Williams is a free agent after this year. He might not be a Yankee. And you guys are already trying to take his job. So his start to the season was interrupted after he got booed off the mound. His start to the season was interrupted by paternity leave. And then the last reason is like I just told you. Traditionally, he has started off slow. He's got to, work up a lather, get a lather going, break a sweat. He's got to get into the warmer weather, get that fastball going, land that fastball that sets up the changeup. So I'm not out on Luke Weaver. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's just people, just especially with the Yankees and the Yankee fans, somebody's always got to be the whipping boy. We're never satisfied. Nothing is ever good enough. And they just need something to complain about, something to talk about. On the other side, that was funny. In my notes tonight, I was going to write, but I didn't even want to mention it. For one night, we don't have to complain about Devin Williams and Brett Beatty. Here we are Friday morning talking about Devin Williams. I'm glad nobody called me up to complain about Brett Beatty, because what does it matter? The teams are winning, and there's a new series starting, and we got plenty of baseball in front of us. Devin Williams, you're gonna look foolish when Devin Williams is lights out, turns into what he's always been. MLB Network has some of the smartest researchers and people over there. I know from my little bit of time over there. They ranked him as the number 1 reliever in baseball. It's him and Emmanuel Clase. Luke Weaver is great, but you're so quick to want to be, want to say that this guy hasn't earned it. Take this guy out of. We need this guy. We need both Luke Weaver and this guy. So you're going to eat your words when he does figure it out in June, in May, not even June. I think he'll figure it out by May. So enough with that Devin Williams nonsense. We need this guy. We traded for this guy. This is a guy that's going to get us big outs. You want to go back to the World Series? You need a closer. 888-808-1019. My guy Mo from the bleachers back on the fan. What up, Mo?
What's going on, Keith? Shout out to your son. Happy birthday on Sunday.
Thank you.
And just wanted to let you know, just wanted to ask you a question. I mean, with the whole with the Yankees, with the whole at third base, because I'm just not very happy with what's going on at third base. How long do you think it's going to be before the Yankees make a real push for Arenado? Because I'm seeing Arenado and Helsley as coming in because Arenado's got negative value, and they could use that other bullpen arm. I think with Canely being gone, I think a big 3 of Williams, Helsley, and Weaver. If you could put Arenado in there, which is what they really need, a good third baseman, a good defensive third baseman, a right-handed bat. And I don't really see any other teams competing for him. The only other team I thought that would compete for Arenado was the Red Sox, and now with Devers and Bregman, I think it's literally tailor-made for the Yankees. I wonder if Cashman's going to make this move before the trade deadline, because one thing we noticed with the deadline being pushed back to the 31st, it's a seller's market every year. It's going to be a seller's market because you're going to have 20 teams competing for the wild card. Do you think that he'll go all in and go for
Arenado maybe package him with a Helsley, or do you think he'll wait till the trade deadline?
Cashman always waits. He's always, a buzzer beater type of guy. Hours before the deadline is when he makes his moves. I don't think that they're interested in Arenado. They had every opportunity to do it in the offseason. Everybody was saying it. Everybody was pointing to it. Arenado went out of his way to show up to George M. Steinbrenner Field to physically be in front of the Yankees and said, oh, he wanted to see his friend Paul Goldschmidt. You were just playing with him for years. You didn't need to see him that bad. Like, you took that ride all the way from I forget what town the Cardinals playing, but this is where I'm at with it. Cabrera, Peraza, they've moved away from Pablo Lopez. It's Cabrera, it's Peraza. It's going to be them for the first half. I do think they may try to add another right-handed bat there, but I don't think it's going to be Arenado because I don't think that they want to have Arenado's contract for the years that come after this year. Even though it is an all-in move, right? Even though we know how great Arenado could be on this team, I don't think Cashman is interested in taking on that contract. It could be somebody else. And I think that they'll feel like once Stanton is back and we'll see, how else the rest of the team shakes out. I don't think they're going all in for Arenado because of his contract. He's getting up there in age. And also, we cannot forget, everybody's asking for George Lombard Jr. The Yankee tax is going to be high this year. Everybody's asking for Spencer Jones, Ben Hess. The Yankee tax is going to be high this year, and you got to give to get. And they're going to try and rob Brian Cashman, and he's the least likely to ever get fleeced. Like, he does not want to give up his top guys. He will prospect hug before he gets fleeced.
I hope to see you. I hope to see you if you come out tonight. I'm not sure if you are, but it's looking like I'm going to show up myself. Maybe I'll catch you tonight when you come.
Mo, you're the man. Good to hear you. Go to bed. Don't you got to go to work? Don't you got to be at work? I don't want to go to sleep. And I appreciate y'all to stay up and listen, especially the Creatures gang. I'll see y'all tomorrow. I'm planning on going to the game, but at the same time, it's going to rain. My favorite night to go to the Yankee game is Friday night in the Boogie Down Bronx, but it's supposed to pour rain. I'm looking at the forecast now. Like, I don't want to drive up there or take the train up there for a postponement. And then it just gets, messy, yo. You can't even wear any nice kicks. You got to wear some whack kicks because it's going to rain, and then it gets – nah. That's not – I don't know. For my first Friday night game, I guess I could wait a little bit. I want to go. I was sick during the whole Diamondback series. I didn't go to one night game yet. And I want to see the gang. I got to see if Milton, the cowbell man, is going to ring the cowbell on a Friday night and turn it up in 203. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to go if it's going to rain. And I think the Yankees could end up pushing this or calling this. But if you look at the weather, it's supposed to rain. 85% chance of rain Friday, today. 90% on Saturday, 45%. It's supposed to rain this whole weekend. And the former New York Giants, they're going to draw. I think I already heard Richie in Queens. Somebody else, my friend Angela, who was in the fan cave with me. She won the fan cave that year. You can't really win the fan cave, but you can win the fan cave if your team wins the World Series. The 2014 MLB fan cave that I was in. Angela, shout out to Angela, shout out to Brian, shout out to Carter. Happy birthday, Carter. Love you guys. Angela is a Giants fan. She just reached out to go to the game. I'm like, you can come with me. I got a ticket, but it's gonna rain. And I've been up there. I've done this and I've been up there. And then also, I'm supposed to be off WFAN tomorrow night doing the show after and picking up the Saturday show after the Yankees. But I got to get in touch. I don't know if David is listening right now. I actually just had the thought I got to get in touch with the bosses about what if they do push the game? Do y'all need me to rock a 5-hour KM to AM on a Friday night? I think you might want to do that. So I don't know. To be determined. TBD. 888-808-1019. Josh is in Passaic on the fan. What's up, Josh?
Yo, Keith, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Bringing it home.
Yeah, so first, I tried looking at what the Eagles selling tickets for tomorrow. I click on off ESPN. They said we can't even find the website. Then go look at tickets. The cheapest ticket to get into a team that's playing a minor league stadium is $60. No wonder they hate that owner.
I mean, that's great. If I'm a Mets fan, and I thought about it, but I haven't really looked into it yet. But if I'm a Mets fan, Sacktown, Sacramento, to go see the Mets play in Sacramento, That's a move. I would make that move.
$60 for the cheapest ticket.
Yeah, and there's not a bad seat in there. It's not like there's 400 level.
Yeah, I do hear that. Anyway, I really wanted to go on the Sixers. We were kind of jumping on the Rangers last night. We should really have these one of these days where we jump on Sixers. I think there's a report coming out that they're looking into Zion Williamson for next year.
Great.
Another player. That with him and B.
They'll never play. They'll never be on the court. They'll play 2 games together.
It's so funny. And I really hope, and we'll continue if they lose the top 6 pick. And you see that, they're not trying to win any games. And if they can lose that also, wow. It's just fun to see. I think we just, we always hate Philly. And, we're trying to get every chance back for them to suffer since they won that Super Bowl. And, the fans are acting like Nazis. Don't even fall off the post over there. Anyway, how you feeling on the Sixers? What do you got to say on them?
Yeah, you can't. Someone died, Josh. You can't make light of the kid that fell.
After he died, they still were acting like nuts in the streets. Like they should have felt something. That just shows what type of things.
They're always gonna flood the streets. That's what they do. But yeah, that young freshman at Temple, he lost his life out there. We can't. We
respect for him, and afterwards, not to say things, and they're firing shots. There's fires going on.
Yeah, it's Philly, bro. If you've ever been down there, they're crazy. And they won the Super Bowl again. I wanted anybody but them to win. I was hoping the Lions could get it done. But what else did you say?
Just on when they were celebrating up, that in the Super Bowl, there was shots fired, there was fires going on, they're fighting with police.
Yeah, they vandalized their own city. That won't happen in New York, but well, you know what also won't happen in New York? A championship parade or a championship that would make anybody go out to the street. Like, we can't win anything.
Right, yeah, that's another toughie. But, Keith, there's a Max Muncy on the A's. I'm looking at their roster, and every time the Mets are playing the teams, them and the Miles, I have to learn their whole lineup right before. They do have this guy like Showmaker or something. This guy that I think is almost leading the AL in home runs. They're an interesting team anyway. It should be fun. They don't even have a starter set up for Saturday or anything. We'll just have to see how that series works out. You think they might call very weekend?
Thanks for the call, Josh. Yeah, they got the boy Lawrence Butler. Lawrence Butler is a good player. Brent Rooker. They've got some former Yankees pitchers over there with the Sacramento A's. Luis Severino. JP Sears. Is JP Sears still over there? Yeah, I got to start looking into the A's and the Mets series coming up. We'll talk about it all this weekend. But yeah, and I also got to look at potentially going out to Sacramento. I've never been there, but I'd like to go see that. This is one of those quirky things, right? The Yankees go out. I'm sure those tickets are going to be a lot higher than what the Mets tickets are. No shade, but just when the Yankees go out there, everybody's going out there. It probably won't be a $60 ticket available. But yeah, Mets should sweep them. Should go out there and sweep them. But what I was hearing about that bandbox out there is, some home runs were flying out, and it's a hitter's park, and some people are mad about sell the team type of rhetoric going on because of where they are right now. Even Sacramento not really fully putting their arms around the Athletics and embracing them because they don't want to be Sacramento's team. They're not repping the Sacramento, Athletics. They're just ATH, the Athletics. But I understand that too. Oh, Miguel Andujar is out there still with them, another former Yankee playing left field. Yankees tried to throw him in left field. It took him a few years. He's good now. And yeah, their Max Muncy is a second baseman. He's much younger than Max Muncy from the Dodgers. He's 22. And you guys seen him. You know what I just thought about? Last year, when Hawk Tua Girl came to Citi Field, who were the Mets playing? They were playing Shea Stadium Langoliers, JJ Bleday, and the Make It Happen Athletics. They got a scrappy little team. This Tyler Soderstrom is tied with Judge for most homers in baseball. So maybe they won't sweep them. This will be a good test for the Make It Happen Mets. Maybe You know what I just thought about, folks? Maybe this is what gets Brett Beatty going. Playing in a minor league ballpark. He'll feel right at home. Back to quadruple A. It's good to have a night off from baseball, man. It's good to be able to talk about the Knicks, the Jets, the Giants. I wish my Jets caller would call back. I don't know. I feel like Jets fans are they're very timid and trepidatious, and like they're not all in. I don't know. I don't know how you can't be all in on this regime of Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn. They seem like the right guys, and I think they're going to make the right picks, and you're going to have an NFL team or a team that resembles one. What other news do we have here to hit? I think what we'll do is we will talk a little baseball to end the show. We'll hit the out of town scoreboard, and I'll take a look during the break at what went on and what went down, and hit you with some stories or whatnot, and talk about some hits. We'll do that. We'll talk about who did play last night, Thursday, travel day in MLB, and we'll wrap the show up that way. We won't completely leave the baseball out of tonight's KM to AM. 888-808-1019. If you'd like to join the show, do so. This is Keith McPherson on the Fan. We'll be right back. What is this? What up, bro? Where you from? Where you from? Chat. Oakland versus the Yanks. TBD. What's the logo on your headband? Unlock your mind. It's from Bonnaroo. You guys familiar with Bonnaroo? I'm about to show y'all something. Bonnaroo is I don't know. What you guys may not know about me is I used to be a heavy festival goer. I've been to Coachella, I've been to Bonnaroo, I've been to EDC, I've been to Identity Fest, I've been to Lollapalooza, I actually haven't been to like the New York festivals really because like I don't know, I'm just not here. Like I don't know, I'd rather travel somewhere and go to these other festivals. So anyway, this is the full headband. Bonnaroo is all about like positivity, unlocking your mind, being open to others, and like partying and drinking and doing all types of stuff in the farm, the woods. So this is the full bandana from Bonnaroo 2020. It's a music festival, and it's in Manchester, Tennessee. And yeah, I don't know. If you know what Bonnaroo is, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. Let me see if I can pull up another picture for y'all. It's amazing though. Like, I don't know. When I went to Bonnaroo, I absolutely loved it, man. I don't know if I'll go back because it's like, it's kind of weird, right? Like, you literally spend days on what they call a farm, and some people don't shower. It costs to shower, and it's nuts. It's a ridiculous festival. And there are a lot of characters out there, myself included. I went the year Post Malone played, Cardi B played. It was sick though. It was sick. That's like what Bonnaroo looks like. Probably when Fish was playing. If you've been following me long enough, I think I went in 2019. But if you've been following me long enough, you know my chronicles of going to festivals or whatnot. Nah, send the clip. Do 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 do.
It's tax time, and New York's direct file program makes it
Let's
easy to
see.
file for free. Skip the hassle, skip the fees. File anytime, anywhere with direct file.
All right, out of town scoreboard. We'll go to the MLB stuff.
A message from the New York State Tax Department.
Yeah, the festivals are just not what they used to be anymore. Coachella is going on right now. Today is the first day of Coachella right now. I went in 2018 and 2019, pre-pandemic. It is not what it used to be.
So if you could let me.
Free exit information kit. 800-746-3737. 800-746-3737. 800-746-3737. When this happened on the fan.
And we're back. Keith McPherson on the fan. Let's take a look at the Major League Baseball scoreboard. I won't even say out-of-town scoreboard because the Mets and Yankees did not play tonight. I saw Mike Trout was back at it again down at George M. Steinbrenner Field. The Angels put up 11 runs against the Rays, and Trout homered twice. They had a couple guys homer twice. The Angels, don't look now, they're 8-4, second place in the AL West. The Guardians defeat the White Sox. The White Sox are on their way to, I don't know, losing 172 games if they can this year. The Royals, by 1, knock off the Twins 3-2. The Rockies defeat the Brewers 7-2. And the Blue Jays lose to the Red Sox in 10 innings, 4-3. And everybody's talking about Aroldis Chapman and how Chapman is throwing gas. And last but not least here, as I go back to my tabs or whatnot, and I lost the tab. And I gave you that score and that score and that score. Last but not least here from the out-of-town scoreboard, the Braves beat the Phillies in 11 innings. Ozuna. Marcell Ozuna homers to left center field. Austin Riley scores to walk it off. 888-808-1019. You know what I said about the Braves? Don't count them out. I know people said they start off 0-7. No team has ever made the postseason. No team has ever made the postseason after starting 0-7. I'm like, those type of things are made to be broken. We saw them walk down the Mets a couple years ago to win the AL East, or the NL East. Remember, the NL East was over and it wasn't. Yeah, so I would not count the Braves out yet. Here they come. Let's go to SY in Brooklyn on the fan. What's up, SY? You got it.
You think it's your day concerns you go up full out in this season. You see the Braves are down a little bit. They could take the division there and dish out all the prospects.
You're saying if I'm David Stearns, would I be going all in at the deadline to like stack this team because of the Braves' slow start? I just think that those two things are different, right? We're 2 weeks into the season. Now we're going into the third week. The trade deadline will happen months from now. I think David Stearns is patient. I think he's calculated. I think if this Mets team, regardless of what the Braves are doing, if this Mets team looks like a team that is a starting pitcher away or a bat away, they're going to go get it. I think, if it's a Sandy Alcantara or somebody else, I think that they will try to go get it because they went to the NLCS last year. They got a taste of what that is like. We know the Dodgers will be lurking. We know the Padres, even the Giants, and some of these other teams in the National League are good. I would say that, yeah, they will be interested in trying to add to this Mets team. And the Mets are good right now, or at least have come out the gate in a positive way and started the season off pretty good right now. And they have help on the way. They have guys getting healthy and coming back. So they might not need to add that much.
Yeah, also, about these rumors about the Dodgers possibly acquiring Boba from the Blue Jays. That would be like bad for baseball, I guess.
No. I mean, the Dodgers, that's what the Dodgers do. They're always adding talent.
Having all-stars on the bench is just something else.
I think it's a smart play. I think it's being prepared for injuries, being prepared to pinch hit guys, being prepared for, like, they were hurt last year and won the World Series because they had enough backups because they went for it at the deadline. They don't stop. They do not miss an opportunity to improve their team. It's admirable. I am jealous, honestly.
Yeah, thank you for taking my call. Love the show.
Thank you, SY. I was gonna think of something clever. What does SY stand for? I got the SNY background behind me. SY, SNY, so New York. What's SY stand for? Is it your first last name, SY? I won't go any further. I don't mean to offend if I say anything that is it could, I don't know what your name, I don't know where SY comes from, and I don't want to take it down the wrong path. Anyway, I was, speaking about the Dodgers, and that was leading me to somewhere I wanted to go. When I say it's admirable that the Dodgers are always trying to add, they're always in the mix, they're always in the postseason. They have the highest attendance. They have a star-studded team. They have a loophole with these deferrals where they have the best contract or the best roster with contracts. It just doesn't make any sense. Well, with the Yankees, Brian Cashman spoke, and I guess he was on Sirius XM MLB Network radio. He said, "We're going to continue to rely on everything we have and certainly hope for good health as we move forward." Bum, bum, bum. Like, the Yankees in good health? Like, we're already starting off on a bad foot. Look at the rotation. Where's Stanton been? Let me go to these other quotes. Cashman said, "I didn't think of anything," or let's go back. MLB.com. On March 29th of this year, you won your 2,500th game, 2,500th game as general manager. Who was the first person you thought of? Cashman said, "I didn't think of anything. I was completely off guard. I was trying to play catch up. First, is this real? Second, I didn't know where that number stood. To this day, I don't really follow the media. I don't know where that sits. It's obviously something I'm proud to be associated with and have the shared wins that we all have. Past that, it's been a long run so far. Any true general manager focuses on the losses and lets go of the wins rather quickly. My memory lane happens to be the ones that got away. Whatever that number is, that's the one that actually hurts and is the most memorable." Yeah, hey, tell me about it, Cash. Your pain is our pain. MLB.com. Are you a Hall of Famer and why? Cashman says, "I would say there are a number of people that I would point to that are Hall of Famers ahead of me." I won't bore you with that one. MLB.com. What's amazing is that you started as an intern. What did you expect when you started in that role? It's funny. I actually talked to Cashman about this. Cashman, I didn't expect anything. You do everything you possibly can to serve your bosses. I was happy to be there to serve and do what I was told to the best of my ability so they can do their jobs better. I wasn't playing the long game of having the vision of being a general manager one day. I said, I'll do this for a year or two. I could tell my family and kids in the future, never expecting that I would get a career out of it. Baseball is my passion, but back then there was little room for non-former players in the baseball hierarchy. Who taught you the nuances of baseball? Cashman says, I had many mentors. I had a chance to work with Buck Showalter, Gene Michael. They were probably the most impactful. Billy Livesley and Brian Sabian, those guys taught me everything I needed to know in the amateur world. And then George Steinbrenner. I learned a lot from all of these people in a different way. What was the biggest thing you learned from all of those people? Cashman that says, they taught me how the game will humble you. You can't take anything for granted. The biggest thing from George Steinbrenner was you always need to find a way to improve. So that's what I'm talking about with the Dodgers. They always are looking for ways to improve. And if Cashman is saying that, bro, like when I ran into Cashman last year, I said, please stack the deck. If this is the team, if this is the year we're getting back to the World Series, at the deadline, stack the deck. We added Jazz. We added Mark Leiter Jr. Good additions, but I don't think that was stacking the deck. MLB says, we know you have won 5 World Series titles as a GM, but what regular season victory stands out? I don't care about that. Where's the question I was looking at before? Let me take a call because I'm running out of time, and then we'll come back to that. But Cashman does talk about the World Series and his title hopes. Luis in Bayonne on the Fan. What's up, Luis?
Yo, Keith, big fan. Louis from Bayonne here. Appreciate all the things you've been saying about history, Yankees, Cashman, boom, this and that, but like, what do you, like, look, Yanks are hurt. It's, I don't know, 15 games into the season, like, Rodon's kind of up and down like he's always been, so, like, what do you think about the Yankees rotation this season? Be honest with me, man. I don't want to hear this, okay. But I'll hang up on this. Thank you.
Thanks for the call. What do I think about the rotation? It's not great. It's not what I expected. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy we have Max Fried. If we sign Juan Soto, we don't have Max Fried. Conversation ends right there. I am happy that we have an ace. I'm happy that we have a guy that went out there when he had to be the stopper and was not affected by cold temperatures, was not affected by potentially being swept, was like, oh, no, I get the ball. I'm throwing the whole kitchen sink at the Tigers. I'm going to strike out 11 of these guys. I'm not walking anybody. You can't hit this. Like, it was refreshing to watch. And after inning and inning and inning went by, eventually the Yankees bats woke up and came through. I was very concerned about them folding, right? I watched them fold in the cold the first 2 games where I'm like, what's the use, yo? Marcus Stroman is a problem. Marcus Stroman, I'm not very confident in. The Yankees don't want him to get to 140 innings, and he won't. Carlos Carrasco is starting games for this team. His first outing, C is for cookie. That's good enough for me. His second outing, he was serving up cookies, fresh baked cookies. Ding, ding, ding. I'm like, the game is over. Tarek Skubal is on the other side. Will Warren is a young guy trying to find his way. I think he's got a lot of potential and promise, but we know he'll be the first one sent down. And that brings me to my point about Clark Schmidt. Clark Schmidt has looked pretty good. Clark Schmidt is on his way back very soon. Clark Schmidt threw 4 scoreless innings in his rehab start for the Somerset Patriots. 3 hits, no runs, no walks, 4 Ks, 61 pitches. 3 of his 4 strikeouts came on the curveball looking. He froze some guys. So it will be good to have Clark back. Now, with Cashman, before I take another call at 888-808-1019, MLB.com says, how do you feel the current team is going? Cashman says, honestly, we are finding our way. We have a lot of talent, and we'll see how it measures up with the season underway. We have some injuries we have to overcome like everybody else. We are starting to see the emergence of some of our young core players like Ben Rice, Austin Wells, Anthony Volpe, and Jason Dominguez. Clark Schmidt is coming back from injury. Will Warren has taken a turn in the rotation. These young guys are being asked to contribute significantly and allow us to excel. They are doing a great job so far, getting out of the gate, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this takes us. John is in Orange County next up on the Fan. You got it, John.
Hi, Keith. How are you?
Good. How are you?
All right. Good. You were talking about Cashman a minute ago, and correct me if I'm wrong, but
I remember the 96 Yankees. I'm 57 years old. If I remember correctly, Bob Watson was the GM and Cashman was the assistant. Bob Watson never gets credit for putting that team together in 95, 96. He was great. Pretty young, I think. But I never hear anybody ever give Bob Watson credit for that Yankee team. It's always
it's rare. It gets lumped into Cashman more than they ever point to Bob Watson. And you know, Bob Watson was instrumental in Cashman getting the gig.
Yeah. But I remember Bob Watson as a player, and I remember him taking over, in the front office of the Yankees, and he did a phenomenal job. And I never hear the guy mention. I'm not anti-Cashman. I'm just saying.
No, but no. Thank you for adding that, because as I just read, they said you've won 5 World Series. Well, Bob Watson retired after that 96 World Series. He retired in 97, and from what Cashman told me out of his own mouth, they basically threw him into that job. He basically took the job. Once this guy retired, they pointed to him. It's on you, whether you're ready or not.
Yeah.
But thank you for bringing that up, John. 888-808-1019. It's worth giving that man credit for, and I think Brian Cashman would give him credit himself. When I was talking to Cashman last season, I think it was right after I had sat in for Susan Waldman, and what the conversation kind of lent itself to was me being like, listen, I'm a radio guy, I'm a radio host, but I'm a fan. I'm not trying to be a broadcaster. I'm not trying to announce games, call games, do color. But like, if the opportunity comes up to call a Yankee game, what am I supposed to be afraid and say no? I'm not built like that. I said, yeah, I'll do it with like 10 days notice and doing my shows leading up, where I didn't spend the week necessarily preparing. I spent the week doing my shows, not sleeping, taking care of my kid, the days passing by, and I got thrown into the fire. And I still feel like I could have done better. And if I get another opportunity, I'll try to be better prepared, but I don't beat myself up about it. But when I was talking to Cashman about it, Cashman listened, and he gave me some compliments and some criticism and some feedback or whatever, just little things that he heard. And I talked about being thrown into that position and not ever calling a baseball game before and not asking for it, but just like the job came open. Obviously, Susan was getting ready for the homecoming dinner, and I happened to be the first name that got thrown in to sit in. And obviously with my relationship with Susan, whatever, blah, 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 you guys know. And then we were talking about the GM job. And you just heard in this article, Brian Cashman saying, like, Bob Watson played. He just said there was no room in the baseball hierarchy for guys that hadn't played. But if you look at Brian Cashman being thrown into the fire, taking that job, and what he did with it and what he's still doing with it, it's amazing. It's amazing. As much crap as he gets, 2,500 regular season wins, 5 World Series, going to the postseason every year, like, Cashman is a Hall of Famer. Cashman is a good GM. He's the Yankees' eternal GM. And I really do hope that whether it's this year, next year, some year soon, he gets another ring. The Yankees win another World Series. It is overdue. They have the talent. And I just hope to God we get to the trade deadline and we're not prospect hugging. We get to the trade deadline and it's, punch it. Give up the prospects. Maybe not George Lombard. Spencer Jones, I wouldn't really go ahead. Because, like, where's Spencer Jones going to play? Are you going to go after Kyle Tucker? Where's Spencer Jones going to play? 888-808-1019. Let me see if there was anything else from this article. I read it earlier. I was like, let me bring some of this to the table if we get to talking baseball, which, of course, we're going to talk baseball. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. But, like, even the tagline of the thing was, Cashman talks Yankees title hopes. 2,500 win as GM. How about the World Baseball Classic? Mark DeRosa is going to be the Team USA manager again. Michael Hill will assist as well. I saw that Jazz Chisholm is going to potentially play for Great Britain. Judge had talked about potentially playing for the United States. I know a lot was made here at WFAN about the worthless baseball classic. Juan Soto is going to play for the Dominican Republic. Lindor is going to play for Puerto Rico. You can bank on it. It's facts. It's already done. I don't know if Edwin Diaz is going to go back. But we will have some Mets and some Yankees next year, spring training, in the World Baseball Classic. I was telling my wife, I'm like, I'm going. I'm like, next year I'm trying to go. I'm trying to go to spring training and take that ride to Miami and see one of those games. I was like, you and Jack cannot come. This is going to be a solo mission. I'm like, you guys cannot attend. Because you know, Miami, they be turning up, boy. Leave the wife and kid at home, crack a couple beers, go see the Puerto Rican versus Dominican Republic game at Lone Depot Park. Party in the city where the heat is on. All right. I would say the number again, but there's no show left. And as I comb through my notes, I think I hit everything for the most part that I wanted to hit. We talked Knicks. We talked Jets and Giants draft. I talked a little bit about Clark Schmidt like I wanted to. Oh, quickly here. Ben Rice. Brendan Cuddy wrote an article answering questions. People asking already, what happens when Stanton comes back? What happens when Giancarlo Stanton comes back? Simple answer. This is from Brendan Cuddy. The Yankees would continue to cycle Ben Rice through DH at-bats, especially against righties as Stanton reacclimates to regular playing time. They could also give first baseman Paul Goldschmidt rest days in the middle of the summer against righties. Rice has played just 2 games, 1 start at first base. The Yankees could also demote J.C. Escara, but I don't think they're going to do that. So I think that's pretty much what I was getting at last night when we were talking about it, but I'm not worried about Stanton returning. We have no idea when that's going to be. And I did mention how he was already talked about, as a platoon option last year. Ben Rice is a lefty. Stanton is a righty. You know how that will go. All right. Big Mac's coming in here next. As I see this Rangers game restarted. I guess they're going to play this one all night. Rangers still alive. That's it. I might be in tomorrow. I might not be. I'll be here Saturday. Either way. Thanks for listening. All right, yo. Gotta take that. Glasses. I'm gonna leave these headphones. Thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're following. Make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend. You ever seen String Cheese Incident in your festival travels? Nah. String Cheese Incident? That's a band, I'm guessing? Never heard of them. Never heard of them. I'm cooked now. I'm washed now. No more festivals for me. Maybe. But like VIP only. Maybe. But VIP only. All right, yo. Thanks for watching. I'm out of here.